The Seattle Sounders' brand new 2025 kit is here, inspired by two traditional Southern Coast Salish weaving techniques, twilling and twinning. These techniques, passed down through generations, honor the resilience, deep-rooted ties, and creativity that define the cultural fabric of this region. The striking deep blue jersey will be worn by the Sounders for the next 2 seasons to honor the club's deep connection with the Puget Sound and shared responsibility as stewards of the greater Salish Sea watershed. Backing up that commitment, the Seattle Sounders will donate up to $50,000 to benefit community charities around the Puget Sound region. To get your very own Salish Sea kit, visit lobbingscorchers.com/kit. That's lobbingscorchers.com/KIT.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to a very special edition of Under the Lights. Got Noah here with me. Usually it's all by myself. Got Noah here with me. We're going to be talking some Seattle Sounders versus Portland Timbies. We have a Portland Timbies guest that we're going to bring on in just a few minutes here. It was a bit of a change in programming. My initial plan for this show tonight was to play an interview that I did with Derek Clark of Rangers Review. I went out and I tracked down.
Bro, did some scouting.
I tracked down someone who has been covering Ryan Kent's career for longer than I think Rangers was the longest he was ever at. One club in his career. So I got a Rangers reporter for an interview, and we chopped it up about Ryan Kent for a while. Super cool guy. Subscribe to Rangers Review. So I was going to play that tonight, but it went kind of long. And Noah was like, you know what? We should just put this out as it's a standalone pod. And I was like, by God, you're right. So that's
Garth, you're cooking.
You're cooking.
You're cooking.
So that I'm not going to play that tonight, but keep an eye out for that. When are we going to drop that? Saturday morning pre Cascadia Derby content. Can't hear Noah's mic. That's very classic for us.
Well, what about now? Is this better?
What about now, chat? So keep an eye out for, I'm just going to keep going with the intro. Keep an eye out for my interview with Derek Clark dropping on Saturday. But change the plans for tonight. What we're going to do is probably do a couple minutes at the top of the show here just on any updated takes about the match that the Seattle Sounders played last night. The Seattle Sounders took a little trip down to LA. Didn't go that well. Didn't go that well. So we're going to talk about that a little bit at the top of the show. We're going to bring on Jeremy Peterman right after that to talk some Portland Timbies versus Seattle Sounders, which is coming up on Saturday. And then the only other thing I had planned was I was thinking we could react to the Will Kuntz video. Yeah.
Yes, we need that.
I don't know if you guys have seen the Will Kuntz media tour, general manager of the LA Galaxy, but he is man about towning. They've decided that they had a few options on how to approach what's happening with the LA Galaxy this season. They could have gone into hiding. That's what it seems like Atlanta United brass is doing. Have you heard from Garth or Chris lately? I haven't.
No, I haven't.
But the Galaxy were like, you know what? We're gonna have Will Kuntz do a little tour. He went on the Cooligans, and then he went on Landon Donovan and Tim Howard's pod. I don't know. I just have the Cooligans clip pulled up.
Yeah.
But I was gonna pull that up, and then we'll give our takes on whether we like their strategy and whether his answers in the interviews were sufficient to the situation. Noah, do you have audio? Let's
okay. It's just let us know if we're like pretty equal on levels. If not,
let us know about the levels.
Listen, it wouldn't be a Lobbing Scorchers without us not knowing how to handle microphones.
I don't think I can tell you the last show that I had where something like even the Derek Clark interview, I listened to it after and I was like, my gain's hot. It's hot.
Before we jump into this interview, because I don't want to keep Jeremy waiting, he's a special guest. I want to do something quick. I have to debut this for our 16 super fans.
There it is. In all its glory. Honestly, that thing is incredibly sick.
The moose is loose and he's all over my body.
I remain actually jealous that you made the pledge to buy that because I kind of want that
Dude,
thing.
it's actually sick. And
give us have you like inspected it?
I've inspected it. It's awesome. It's got a butt sponsor. The butt sponsor is for an energy drink company that I don't think exists anymore. It has a Say No to Racism USL Championship banner. A Bitcoin thing, which I think is hilarious.
Oh my God.
Pretty sure this company doesn't exist anymore. CoinCloud. I think they got destroyed by the FTC and probably scammed some stuff. And I don't even know what this jersey manufacturer is. Meyer, Meyba.
The crypto ad, that it makes it an even like that's going to age so well as the years go by. Like you're going to look back on that when you're an old man and be like, the crypto ad on my Moose jersey.
The crypto ad on my Moose jersey. Invest in Moose coin. You should put out Moose coin.
You got to speak a special language to like know what we're talking about on this show sometimes. But all right. So let's get Jeremy on here, but in a minute. Sorry.
Okay.
Jeremy, in a minute. But I figured before we get into Sounders Timbies, I figured we could take a second to give any amended thoughts or updated takes on the Seattle Sounders match last night, which again, go into the game, rotated 11, feeling good, think you're going to make something happen, lose 4-0, Timby's up next. But there, the discourse was running hot last night. We were getting chirped. We get chirped every time they take an L.
Yeah.
Because every L
apparently it's our fault every time.
Every L that they take is like validation or proof of somebody's agenda out there. And the thing I've realized too about having a podcast and a YouTube show is that you fire these takes out there and then it'll happen sometimes where the inverse of what you were arguing for plays out like instantly in the next game. So in this case, I went out there on Under the Lights last week and I was saying, Jesus Ferreira is doing fine. Okay.
Well,
he's doing fine. He's got some assists. He's got some assists, guys. Don't worry about it. He's got some assists, finishing variants. The goals are going to come. I bet he looks better in this next game. I didn't say that, but that's basically what I said.
To be fair,
then they go out there and get slammed 4-0, and he does not look that good. So it happens. But
we also cut that into a video.
Great.
Funny enough.
Awesome.
So that'll come out at some point. But I watched it back because we cut it into a video.
The take wasn't bad.
I think your take is still while it's taken a dip, the stocks on the Bitcoin are down. We're gonna go to the moon, Ari.
That's the funny thing though, is we had the chirpers in chat who only ever show up when Seattle takes an L. You'll notice, and it's not just Brigade. It's some Brigade, but we're cool with a lot of the Brigade. Yeah. But it's like a little conglomerate of people who, if Seattle beats Nashville SC 3-0, you'll never see them in our chat. If Seattle beats LAFC 5-2, you'll definitely never see him in our chat. If Seattle, what was the game? It was another game that they won.
LAFC.
That's I already said that.
Oh, I don't know.
You get the idea.
Yeah.
All right. So, but they were chirping, but like the take that they were disagreeing with, I still stand by the take, which is all the take was it's like it hasn't been great, but we're being a little melodramatic.
Yeah,
I think is what I was saying.
Let's bring it back down to earth.
Yeah. But anyway, another thing I was going to say is that related to the game last night, I was talking about last night how I felt good about the 11. I was feeling like the rotated side had a decent chance at getting the result. And then obviously that backfired. That did not pan out. But I was thinking about it today, Noah, and I was like, I feel like I actually should have seen that. I've watched enough MLS that I should have seen that coming. Like
pretty predictable.
I think part of what got into my head was just like the form that they had been in going into that game. And I was feeling like they were going to ride some vibes. But I think the reality is that in any MLS season, you're probably going to have at least one or two of those where when it's midweek and you're rotated like that, if you take a draw, it's like a freaking miracle. Yep. So I think the the difficulty of the task at hand, I was understating with the benefit of hindsight. But what I will also say is that all those things notwithstanding, they shouldn't have got 4-0'd. Like
Tough scenes.
4-0'd.
Tough scenes.
4-0'd.
I don't have any takes to amend. I think I hit it pretty good. I just stand on my takes. Sorry, I just don't care.
I don't even remember what your takes were.
It was that Moose is the best player ever.
That's a good take.
That's my take.
That is a good take. All right. I think it's time to never talk about that LAFC. That didn't even happen. The Seattle Sounders didn't play last night.
That's what I don't know. When does the game pick up?
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. A chance for redemption awaits. It's Derby weekend. The Seattle Sounders are now taking a trip down to the Rose City to take on the Portland Timbies. And if they win this game, I'll forgive the LAFC game straight. Any type of win in this game.
What about a draw?
I'll forgive the LAFC game. A draw wouldn't be a bad result. I think it would be like not received that well because of what happened against LAFC. But like a draw away in the Western Conference is typically not a bad result.
Yeah.
And then these rivalry games, it's tough. The degree of difficulty on taking any result at all in a game like this is inherently higher. But let's bring on our special guest right now. We got a Timbies guest. Everyone, be nice. Honestly, I think this is actually a good opportunity to lay down a little policy. All right.
Yeah.
If we got guests from rival teams or teams that you don't like, be nice.
Lock in.
If you say any dumb shit or really just like anything mean-spirited, you're going to get admonished and potentially disciplined. I don't know what entails the discipline. But,
3 lashings from Ari.
Our guests
don't get freaky.
Our guests are generous with their time. Even our Portland Timbies guests. And everyone just be cool. All right.
Okay, Ari's going to do this interview now. Good luck, Ari.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're bopping off.
Yeah, I'm going to just then cuz content.
All right, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna do the Timbies interview, and then we'll get
Jeremy.
Noah back on here. All right, hold on, Jeremy. One more second, then I'm gonna bring you on. All right, joining the show now to talk some Portland Timbies versus Seattle Sounders. We have got Jeremy Peterman of Cascadia FC. Portland Timbers writer and reporter. Do I have the title right? That's what I was just.
That's correct. Yes. I'd also add managing editor in there too.
Managing editor of Cascadia FC. Thanks for joining the show. I feel like we followed each other on Twitter, now Blue Sky, for a while, and you actually called into our show to lay down Seattle takes, which. Some people might be like, why would a Timbers fan be calling into a Sounder show to dish Seattle takes? It's because you're a sicko like us. It's because you're a sicko, which is why I think you're actually the absolute perfect person to talk to about the Portland Timbies. We were chopping it up about MLS as a whole right before we got on. And you're in it. You're following the whole league. Got a lot of knowledge. And this is the team that you have the most knowledge about. So before we talk about this derby coming up this weekend, go ahead and tell our audience about what you have going on at Cascadia FC, what the project is, the type of work you do day in, day out, covering, I believe, all 3 teams, if I'm not mistaken.
All 3 teams and the Seattle Reign. They're no longer the OL Reign, are they? Good for them.
Yep.
But this is my 3rd year at the website. And for all 3 of those years, I was looking for a Vancouver Whitecaps writer. I finally got one the day before, like a couple of days before the season started. So everything that's happened with the Vancouver Whitecaps this year, you can blame him for that.
That writer's got the best job at the outlet now. I bet you didn't see that coming.
I know. It's just like great. Like we had a Vancouver writer and now they're actually good. So yeah. But other than that, just your basic. I like deep dives a lot in addition to just looking at every single game, previewing it, recapping it, just what happened. More so much than just the overall score. I like looking at seeing just what the team did, how each of the individual players did, just all in once. And the big picture takeaways are my main focus with this team, because there usually isn't a lot of like small. If you really focus on the small things of what happens from game to game, you tend to get lost in just like, oh, I don't like this player. This player is really good. He's going to win MVP or something like that. But how every result impacts the season is the most important part, especially when you have a 34-game schedule and you're playing teams all across the country. And none is bigger than the one that's coming up this weekend. Isn't that right, Ari?
Yeah, actually, that was another topic I was going to bring up later in the show, which is Sasha Kleshin dropped his list of top 5 best rivalries. And he, of course, he had El Tráfico number 1. And I think Seattle Portland was even like 4th or something.
I think he put it below Hell Is Real.
This is a tangent. I promise we're going to talk about the game. But the whole national narrative that's taken hold that the El Tráfico is like the number 1 rivalry, and that Cascadia has been like usurped by that.
They played I did this earlier in the comments. They played like 15 games.
It's
so for real. We've played like 140.
El Tráfico started like 6 months ago. Like, what are we even? It's a good rivalry. Don't get me wrong. I'm not even trying to knock it, but the idea that it's like, especially, we go to these Cascadia derbies every year, so we know what's up at those games. There's nothing quite like that. The El Tráfico games are good, but they don't have the history. They don't have the same juice that this rivalry does. This is still the best rivalry in MLS. Without a debate. I don't even know what we're talking about, like debating it, let alone it getting taken as national consensus that El Tráfico is better.
I feel like the one game I wouldn't put any game above Cascadia, but the one I'd say I guess compares to is I'd say Toronto, Montreal, because it's 2 different cities and just the hate they have for each other.
Yeah,
I don't think there's
Canadian hate.
Yeah, I don't think there's any hate to be had between yourself and other people who live in your city. You can't really build a rivalry out of that. But if you put another team in there and a bunch of Galaxy fans are like, oh my God, Carlos Vela is playing for another team in the city right now, then I guess you can create a rivalry out of that and you can milk it for as long as you want. But there was a time not too long ago that Cascadia teams ran the West. The LA teams kind of are running the West right now. One is running away from the West as we currently speak. But yeah, it's not so much like being tired of the disrespect that the league is showing this rivalry now. It's more just like this rivalry was here before you guys even existed.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it'll be here long after, if this league ever folds.
It's one of the takes that's been annoying me the most, especially because it's rivalry week. So, and I just see it again, taken as a given. El Tráfico number 1. I don't like it. All right, Jeremy, let's talk about this game. The Seattle Sounders and the Portland Timbies are playing at Providence Park on Saturday, and it's going to be fun. Providence Park for these games. I mean, Providence Park is. Look, people might not like it. It's a great place to go watch a game. I find the contrast between Lumen Field and Providence Park, it's when you try to compare them, they're so different. Lumen Field is like this vast, expansive NFL stadium, which has its own merits because you can pack so many people in there. When Seattle played the Champions League final, they had got 70K in there. When they hosted MLS Cup there, it was just such a big, vast crowd. So noisy. Providence Park has the appeal on the flip side, which is it's smaller and more intimate. The crowd's right on top of the action. It's an open press box, so you can really feel the atmosphere a lot more than the box at Lumen. So I think there's something to be said for both of them. But this one is going to be at Providence Park. It's going to be live. And Jeremy, what I've been doing with all of our guests who preview Seattle's upcoming opposition is I give my take on the club, the outside neutral perspective on the club, and you can tell me if my outsider take aligns with what you're seeing covering the team day in and day out. So with the Portland Timbies, my take on Portland this year is that it's pretty much become the same Portland team actually that they always are. It started out rough. We were getting in our jokes about Phil Neville. We were saying sign him to a contract extension. There was at least one or two like really tough results at the beginning of the season where we were questioning the whole Neville operation. I think some Timbers fans were as well, especially with the circumstances of how he got hired. But since then, my impression of it is that this team has heated up quite a lot. Like maybe there was that one San Jose result a couple weeks ago. But aside from that, this team has been winning games and scoring a ton of goals. And that is one thing. I don't know if I'd say envious, but like I think it's remarkable how every iteration of this Portland team that I've seen for the last like decade plus, they just don't have trouble scoring goals. The Portland Timbers, any year, they go out there, they counterattack, they do it quite well, very ruthlessly, and they can rack 3 or 4 goals in a game at any given time. That very much appears to be the case for this 2025 team. But they also seem to share the same attribute of Portland Timbers teams of past years in that offensive aggression and counterattacking style sometimes comes at the expense of leaking goals. And that means in any given game, they're liable to have a game like the one against the Quakes a couple weeks ago, where they're playing a team that they're better than, I would say, but they give up 4 goals because probably because of that style and those tactics. So I guess my impression of Phil Neville is that he's not doing bad, but it's no different really than the Gio era or the Caleb Porter era. It's the same team. Would you agree with it, that assessment?
That's tough because from a neutral's perspective, it does look like the same team, just a team that's going to try and counterattack and try and score goals, and also will leak a ton of goals through like either individual errors or just like what the hell was even that kind of plays. But the big difference between this year and most of the past Timbers teams, I'd say, since I think the Cup winners, is this year they're very young. They are an extremely young team. All 4 of the U22 initiative players, Santiago Moreno, David Ayala, Anthony, and Kevin Kelsey, all of them were brought to the club as U22s, signed from South America, and in Kelsey's case, Ukraine. But all of them have been taking a bit of their lumps over the past couple of seasons, except for Kelsey because he's new. But Neville has really tried to get this team younger, faster, and more aggressive over the past offseason. And because of that, they've signed a lot of young players. Their oldest incoming player this season was Joao Ortiz, who is still considered kind of young in the midfield, considering he's been stepping in for Diego Chara a lot recently. There's a 10-year age difference between both of those players. So it's just about being faster, younger, and more aggressive. We haven't really seen this emphasis on youth from the Timbers as much, mostly because the U22 initiative hasn't been around for that much, and also because they still don't really do a lot with the academy. But in terms of like the last couple of weeks, I'm really glad you mentioned that San Jose result. At the start of the season, I picked them 4th in the West. I think that they had the potential to get up there. They finally figured it out in that Timbers game that you can't start Arango and Joseph Martinez together. And the Timbers just happened to be the victim at the altar. And also they came into that game with a little bit of complacency because they were on a 7-match unbeaten streak. As you probably know, and as you saw on Wednesday, those streaks are going to end. But the most important thing is how you respond to them. Since that game, the Timbers have won 3 straight, including the classic at Starfire against the Tacoma Defiance. So I think it's safe to say they've been able to bounce back pretty well. I said they won 3 straight. No, they drew 0-0 in Salt Lake yesterday. Yeah, I was there. I should know that. But yeah,
3 straight leading up to that, right? Or 2 straight.
Yeah, they the question with Neville more so isn't just like how he's managing the team and like what he's doing tactically, because I'm still trying to figure out what he's trying to do this year. I've noticed some things that are very interesting, like a new pressing structure that's been implemented. But for me, it's just more about the streaks, because this team likes to go on streaks. Without that streak in 2015, they don't win MLS Cup. It was the right streak at the right time. So for me, at very least, like now it looks like that they're 3 unbeaten in all competitions. How are they going to approach this game against this opponent? And you might not remember this, but in 2023, it was the 2-2 draw up at Lumen. Phil Neville was on color commentary for that game. And you can hear, like, you know how Gary Neville does like the thing, like whenever some Premier League player scores a banger. He became his brother for a second when Evander scored that goal. So he knew exactly what he was going to be working with when he got into this team. And year one was just, these are all the players that Gio had. He didn't really add anyone new except for Jonathan Rodriguez. But now, as year two has begun, he's started to get his own players in. It's starting to fit more of his own vision. And that vision is a young team that's going to be fast, aggressive, and win soccer games, particularly on the road.
We were following the Evander saga quite closely leading up to the season. Anytime the biggest rival's best player is disgruntled and demanding a transfer, that's always fun to watch from our perspective. And I think when Evander got moved to FC Cincinnati, the reaction was that's really not good for Portland. This guy is a perennial MVP candidate, one of the best stat sheet stuffers in the league. Like, you look up at Evander's numbers every year and it's just ridiculous. And then a lot of the goals he scores are just like these crazy golazzos. Losing a guy like that didn't seem like, right before the start of the season, didn't seem ideal. Felt like they were kind of scrambling to get the replacement. They bring in David DaCosta, and I like the way we were thinking about it was like, there's no one that they could sign that's going to be an upgrade over Evander in MLS. Like, you're inherently baking in a downgrade because this is like a top 2 to 3 player in the league. Are you really going to replace him with a top 2 to 3 player in the league? But then I think if you look at how it's panned out, DaCosta is very different from Evander. They're not like, he's not going to stuff the stat sheet quite like that. He's probably not going to score as many goals. But this guy is really good in a lot of different ways than Evander. I think he's a more well-rounded player than Evander, and I think he is a better playmaker at times than Evander, if less of a dangerous goal-scoring threat. What have you made of the shift from Evander to DaCosta, and how have they managed to kind of just maintain the level and play at the level they've been playing at, losing their best player and having to integrate someone brand new right before the season?
Well, I don't think that Evander leaving and DaCosta coming in was like as rushed as you're kind of implying here. I think it's more that once they made the decision that we're not going to have Evander anymore, they immediately started scouting. They had DaCosta ready to go. The question was, you have to have Evander leave before you can bring DaCosta in. You can't have, especially with the roster model they were planning, you can't have 3 DPs on that team. So as soon as that Evander deal went through and Cincinnati threw in that bid, they immediately said, okay, this is going to happen. DaCosta, you're coming here. And what I've seen over his first 13 games in the Timbers uniform is not Evander, because he's not Evander, but he also doesn't have to be Evander. He just has to be David DaCosta. I've started calling him Portuguese Dave because in the first week that he was here, he was obviously was introducing himself to all the team staff, and they told me a story about how they were like, do you want to be called David? Do you want to be called DaCosta? And he just said, you can just call me Dave. So I'm just calling him Dave. And he's confirmed that to the press. But since there's already assistant coach Dave Vandenberg on the team, and even though Dave Vandenberg's quite tall, DaCosta's quite short, little Dave doesn't really fit, but Portuguese Dave really does. So what I've seen from Portuguese Dave is just fearlessness on the ball. This is a guy who's going to drive at defenders, take them on, usually win and succeed in those dribbles, and then look for either the pass before the pass or just the pass in general. The difference between him and Evander is, first of all, DaCosta is very, very comfortable on the touchline. He will often slide out wide, and whoever's playing on usually the left wing, probably Anthony, is going to go a little bit more central. So it creates space for DaCosta to then beat players on the dribble out wide, where Evander, he usually shift from channel to channel throughout the game. And also the other note about DaCosta's dribbling is once he beats a player, he keeps going. He doesn't pause. Evander would often beat a player, pause, and then look for the pass and let the pause be the thing that got the other defenders out of formation a little bit. Maybe enough for a Jonathan Rodriguez to sneak in behind or Felipe Moore to become available for a cross. So I think what we're dealing with, not so much an Evander type DP who is going to be the centerpiece, who's going to be the number 10 at the heart of everything, both scoring and assisting. We're seeing kind of a Ricky Puig light. Now, that comparison may sound crazy, but the one thing Ricky Puig is absolutely elite at is just progressing the ball.
Yeah.
DaCosta does that from passing. He does that from dribbling, exactly like Ricky Puig does.
It's not a bad comp, actually. I see it like Ricky Puig is the hyper elite at that. But I think you're right. DaCosta does have that same attribute. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. We were obviously rooting for that to bust, but it did not. He looks really good, and he's replaced Evander quite effectively, even if, as you mentioned, it's in a slightly different way. I wanted to, you mentioned the U22s earlier, and so I was actually doing an exercise on this show last week where I was looking at the list on MLS Soccer of all the U22 signings that have come into the league. I think since the mechanism was put in place, it might have been a list of just all the current ones, but either way, it was a big list of a lot of the U22s that had come to the league. Basically, what I was trying to do was see what teams had done the best with it, and then more generally, like what the hit rate is actually like with these guys, like because with Seattle looking to fill a open U22 spot, I was just kind of trying to get a gauge on how likely it is that they actually find an impact player. With
I've heard Leo Chu might be available.
Yeah, so exactly, like when you go through that list, you see both sides of it. You see like the Leo Chus, or honestly there's a lot of names on there that are a lot worse than Leo Chu. Like it's a lot of guys that make pretty much no impact, or all of their value is still projected or theoretical, and they haven't hit yet. But I ended up a little surprised at how many genuine impact players that I did see on the list. I was going through all the clubs that seemed to do the best with it. Inter Miami's group was really, really good. There are a few. NYC has done some good stuff with it. FC Cincinnati, I feel like there's like a group of a few teams that have actually done really, really good work with the U22 initiative, and the Portland Timbers were one of them. I looked at their group. And I mean, you listed it earlier. It's Moreno, Kevin Kelsey, Ayala, and who's the last one?
The last one is Anthony, and that's not even counting Mosquera, who has already gotten his second contract with the team and is off the U22 slot.
You could definitely make an argument that Portland has let him as effectively or more effectively than anyone in MLS. I mean, that group is stacked. Those are all guys that are impact players. Santiago Moreno is really, really good. Anthony has been playing out of his mind for you guys this year. What do you think is is there a secret sauce to getting U22s like that and not like some of the other whiffs we've seen other teams make? Because it just seems like that's a pretty incredible hit rate. All of those guys we just named are really good. And a lot of teams have tried to do this and they don't get anybody. So what do you kind of make of how effective they've been with that?
Their process is fantastic for not just identifying the talent and bringing them to Portland, but allowing them to get settled, making their life basically easy. Because if you think about it, these players are under 22 years old. They're usually coming from South American countries. I got a little bit lucky with Kevin Kelsey because he spent a little bit of time in the States last year on loan with Cincinnati. But you're basically asking a really young player to make a complete cultural change in addition to fighting for minutes with a professional soccer team. And what the club does really well is getting those players settled off the field, making sure that they are in a good place so they can come forward and put their best in. And then also Neville, what he's just been able to do is basically give those U22 players, some of them at least. He's given Kelsey the keys quite a bit. He's given Anthony the keys. In his first preseason with the club, he said that Anthony was the most impressive player, despite Anthony like barely speaking a lick of even Spanish. He only spoke Portuguese. And this year, one of the more entertaining storylines has been a lot of those young players, including Himer Fori, who was also signed this year, who's also 22 years old, but he isn't taking up a U22 slot. He's a left back. They've been participating in a big group English class. And from what I've heard, just the vibe in that room is fantastic. Every single player is not just having fun, but they're being serious about learning the language. And it helps when there's just like a little squad of these guys that are all around the same age, and they basically take they take everything really seriously, and they try and become the best players that they can be, at least in Portland. And also just Diego Chara, who even though he didn't come to Portland as young as any of these players, he's just such a valuable voice in that locker room, especially to all the Colombians like Fori, Mosquera, Moreno. He's just able to help everyone settle. And he doesn't do it in like the loud vocal way. He's just leads by example so well.
Where are you at on Phil Nevs? Like I said, we were making our jokes. We were making our jokes when the season didn't start that well. And really, I don't know. I kind of questioned the hire the whole time because of his Inter Miami track record wasn't like so amazing that I thought he was like a super hot hire. And then there was all kinds of like kind of controversy with the fan base and stuff where they didn't want him hired because he had like some old tweets or something like that, if I remember correctly. But and then also results wise last year, like it kind of fluctuated a little bit, and then they got blown out in the playoffs. Evander got disgruntled, left the club. It kind of felt like the vibes were not good. At least that's what it seemed like to us. But, I got to say that pretty much since the first couple weeks of the season, the team's obviously been red hot, scoring as many goals as anybody in the league. So I don't know where I stand on it because I still am not sure what to make of his time with Inter Miami. But I mean, there's no way you can look at the season that Portland's having so far and think that he's not doing something right. So what do you think about just the overall job he's done in the state of the Timbers head coaching situation?
Well, when he was first hired and that hire was announced, I was skeptical, not so much for the off the field reasons, but mostly due to the that Miami tenure, and also my questioning of whether or not he's going to be able to elevate the roster to perform better than what it was doing under Gio. Because I thought that Portland's roster under Gio, especially 2023, a little bit of 2022, was playoff quality. They had good players, but there was just something holding them back. And last year, it turned out it might have been a little bit of themselves. It might have been a little bit of just the way the team was set up. But when I looked at Neville's time in Miami, when I was just thinking, like, how do I form an opinion about this guy as a manager? Because obviously I know who he is as a player. I immediately thought of they were under roster sanctions because of the nonsense they tried to pull with Blaise Matuidi.
5 defense. Cheated and still were terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Which, like, that's an asterisk they're never going to be able to lose. But in 2022, when he did get them into the playoffs, it's because he was able to get the best out of their top player, which was Gonzalo Higuain. And his goals that season got them into the playoffs. And after a couple of seasons of seeing the team's top player kind of go into flux, when Valeri started to decline a little bit, it became Blanco. Blanco goes supernova. They go to MLS Cup. Then he gets hurt. And you're kind of left in a vacuum without a star player for 1 year until you bring in Evander. And when Evander's second season, by the way, in the league was last year, his second season in Portland. And Neville got the most out of him. And that was Neville's first year in Portland. So being able to get the most out of the players who you pay to score the goals, get the assists, and then all the other high impact roster slots on this team, which are so important to a team with not much of an academy and not a ton of depth that they can bring up through the ranks, through the playing pathway. I think that I think that the decision at the time, it's still a little bizarre, but I kind of see the vision after seeing him for like almost a year and a half just in charge of this team. And to his credit, he's fully bought into the fan culture here. He understands what it means to be the Portland Timbers manager, which is very important. You're not the manager of Inter Miami anymore. And I think he kind of relishes that a little bit. But at the same time, on the field, he is prioritizing just being aggressive and going out to get it. And last year, this team won the most points from losing positions that they had in their entire MLS history, because even though they'd go down 2-0 or 3-0 on the road, they'd fight their asses off in the second half and win draws. Like, I was just in Salt Lake for this 0-0 draw yesterday. A year before, in 2024, this fixture was 3-0 at halftime. 2-0 at halftime with RSL dominating. And the Timbers just did not give up the fight. They draw 2-2. They pull it back. Then Diogo Gonçalves scores his first RSL goal in like the 88th minute. 3 minutes later, Portland equalizes. This team just refused to give up without a fight last year. Now, this year, they're saying, how about we just take the lead instead? That's pretty nice to play soccer with the lead. And so far, they've done a pretty good job of taking the lead, particularly on the road, and being able to see out those road games. My bigger questions, though, is the bigger difference between this year and last year was their home form. Their home form last year was among the best in the league. That's what got them in the playoffs. They only won 3 games on the road last year. This year at home, it's a little bit different because they're showing that they don't want to have the ball as much. They're losing the field tilt battle in every single game at home this year. That's concerning a little bit because you want your team to be able to dominate at home. You don't want to be Minnesota. Like, we don't know how sustainable that is. So I think that Neville's biggest challenge this year is getting them to want the ball more at home, make better decisions with the ball at home, and eventually just score more goals at home. Because there are 2 games at home against both the LA clubs where they threw away 3 points. One of those, they probably should have gotten 3 points, but the referee said no. But in that last game against LAFC, that was their previous home game before this SKC game they had this past weekend, they threw away a 2-0 lead and then threw away a 3-2 lead. That's something you can't have happen at home. So I'm really interested to see how he's going to be solving for that this year, because you can't really compare the 2 years aside from just on a result standpoint and on a statistical standpoint, because it's not the same team anymore, even though it kind of is, but
right. That's good intel about the home form from the Seattle perspective. It kind of, you remember there was a period in the rivalry in the last couple years where it was like the road team was winning every time. Like, typically you consider the home team as a favorite, as a given in a derby game. And this rivalry was not going like that. I feel like that's evened out a little bit in the last year, a couple years maybe, but there was a while there where I was literally like, when Portland was coming to Seattle, I was like, they should be favored. They should be favored. But then Seattle, I think 1-1 at Providence last year. So it has gone back and forth like that. We got Jeremy Peterman from Cascadia FC, covers the Portland Timbers, on the show right now. Jeremy, I just got a couple about this game coming up, and then I'll let you go. But I guess just how do you size this one up? You got a Portland team that has been in really good form lately, like you mentioned, had the 1 negative result in there at San Jose, but then has bounced back nicely, got a 0-0 at RSL, which, grinding out a road 0-0, that is a little different than the Portland teams of the past. That's a good result for them. And I think just in general, the Timbies vibes, they're feeling good right now. And then you got a Seattle team that had been playing really well, had won 4 out of 5, had their striker score in 5 straight games. The new acquisition looking really good. The vibes were incredible, to be honest. And then they're coming off a last game where the vibes deteriorated, I think it's fair to say. So how are you just sizing this one up based on where both teams are at? And then from a Portland perspective, how do you think they're approaching it going into this one?
I'm going to talk about Seattle because I agree with you when you were saying earlier on the show how if they win this game, that 4-0 loss against LAFC is completely it's completely forgiven because of how much rotation they had to do. I feel like that's kind of the same way in Portland because a lot of people were disappointed a bit with that 0-0 draw, even though I thought the team made the chances to win. It's just that Rafael Cabral is actually a pretty good goalkeeper, you know? So I think that both teams having rested and rotated players midweek, which once again, MLS, if you're going to do a rivalry week, do not schedule midweek matches before it. Don't do that.
I didn't really think about that, but that is kind of just like, because like LAFC and Seattle, like both have like the biggest games of their season coming up on the weekend, you know?
Mm-hmm. And that's a big fixture for both of you guys too.
Exactly.
And I guess for us, I call RSL a competitive rival because I don't like them very much. But at the same time, like both coaches decided to rest and rotate. A couple of key Portland players didn't see the field. A couple of key Sounders players didn't see the field. So knowing that this is the week that on this weekend, you're not only going to have to win for the bragging rights, but to, I guess, like settle the nerves after kind of a shaky midweek, which I don't judge a ton of midweek matches in this league unless you are home for like 3 games in a row and you don't have to travel. So, but the Sounders, they've been on the road quite a bit, and somehow they got Awodasu sent off against Houston. I still have no idea what happened there.
Friend of the show, good call.
Yeah. So I have no idea how that happened. I have no idea how Rafael Navarro's a potential game winner in Colorado happened, but it happened nonetheless. Sometimes the Sounders, they just keep getting away with it, except in games against the Timbers, mind you. In the past 3 times at Lumen Field, I've seen some really, really cathartic second yellow cards. But once again, whenever they come to Providence, it's usually a much more cagey affair. And I tend to think of the Providence games as the ones that really push the team a bit out of their comfort zone. Because Seattle, they want to dominate the ball. The Timbers don't really want a lot of it. Usually you don't see a road team coming in wanting to dominate the ball that much. And you don't really see a home team that's content sitting back, absorbing pressure, and then countering into the space. I also don't know what Schmetzer's plan is in regards to the formation. It used to be so simple, just like, oh, this player played a little bit, this player played a little bit. Maybe they get rotated. It's still going to be the 4-2-3-1. Nuhu's still going to be back there. Yamar's still going to be back there. And Fry's going to be in goal. But I don't know really if he has anything special up his sleeve for this game. But I think Ryan Kent actually being good.
That's what he has
probably
special up his sleeve.
Yeah.
That's what he has special up his sleeve.
That's what's going to force his hand. I think they go back to the 4-2-3-1 here, especially with so many of those key attackers just getting some rest. And also the midfield of Roldan and Obed, which is probably, I'm not going to say it's the best midfield in the league, but it's definitely the most consistent. It's usually the one that has the least amount of problems. Even if there are some games where they aren't like spectacular or anything. It's just they understand how they want to play really well. And that's where this game is going to be won, in the midfield. And then also in each boxes. And it would be nice if we scored a set piece goal because apparently you guys are pretty weak at that now. And Schmetzer doesn't like it when you guys say that they're weak at set pieces. So, I don't know. I'm hoping for at least a 2-0 and several thousand pen clicks.
Yeah, I think this one of the things that this last LAFC game really underscored is the true value, the true impact of that Obed Christian double pivot. They tried to rock the JP Danny Leyva double pivot, which they've done at different times this year to better effect than that. But I think the reality was tossing that double pivot out there, having had like very little MLS reps and minutes in the last few weeks at LAFC against a lineup that was, they rotated a little less than Seattle. They had a lot of their big dogs out there, and it just did not work. But I think ultimately rotating like that it had to be done. There's no option there. You have the derby coming up, and you have to make sure you're at full capacity. They shouldn't have gotten 4-0'd, but I think what Schmetzer did with the lineup had to be done. I guess my last one for you is just is there anything that we should know personnel wise from the Timbers side, like injury or lineup stuff, or maybe some rotation or not rotation in Salt Lake that could affect the lineup for this game? Anything like that?
I'm going to use this to talk about the goalkeeper battle that's been going on for the past 2 years, because the Seattle Sounders have a very entrenched number one. His name is Stephen Fry. I don't like him very much, but he saves a lot of goals, and he's made one big save in like one game that happened one time, and I see it like at least 3 times a week, and I don't know why.
They love playing it on the broadcasts. Yeah,
it's just that one save all the time. Like, he's been very good outside of that, but you know what? Ugh. So, James Pantemis and Maxime Crépeau, they both arrive in the winter of 2024 ahead of that season. It's very clear that Crépeau, who arrives after Pantemis, by the way, the Pantemis deal is announced before Crépeau signs. It's very clear Crépeau is going to be the number one based on what he's been able to do with LAFC and the fact that he's the entrenched Canadian number one when healthy. And yeah, if you're going to be in net for a team that makes back-to-back MLS Cups, you have elite leadership potential and you make the biggest saves at the biggest times, like he did in 2023 against the Sounders when Bouanga scores one counterattacking goal and then it's just defend the box for like 75 minutes or something like that. But Crépeau stood on his head in that game. And those are the type of games that the Timbers were envisioning from him when he signed. However, LAFC did a really good job of defending their box. Portland, not so much. So when Crépeau comes into the team after missing the first game in 2024, there are a couple of pretty bad performances that follow. And the question with him has always been, is it just that he's not this good, or is it the defense letting him down? And I've been going back and forth, but it turned out that the profile of keeper that Timbers actually needed was just someone who was going to stop a lot of shots. That's James Pantemis, and he was sitting on the bench until Crépeau went to Copa America and did really well there. Meanwhile, while Crépeau's at Copa America, James Pantemis is in with kind of a rotated back line because you got Kamal Miller and Miguel Araujo, who are both gone, and the team is getting results. They're getting clean sheets. It's actually pretty impressive to see. And then more nonsense happens towards the end of last year. Pantemis ends up retaking the starting job from Crépeau and ends up starting the final 3 matches of the season, including that Cascadia Cup decider up at Lumen on decision day, where he made several stops of Jordan Morris at point blank range. Yep. Because that's Jordan Morris. He loves missing those chances. He doesn't like scoring.
You had to work that one in there.
He's not even playing in this game, and I'm kind of upset because he wouldn't score even if he did play.
All right.
He hasn't scored against this team since 2016.
Jordan catching strays over here. No,
I know it's annoying, and Reagan might not even play either. Ugh. But one player who might play is Crépeau, because after Pantemis started this season, Crépeau gets hurt after game 1 against Vancouver. He has a very bad outing. And Pantemis comes in. The defense just looks a lot better. That could have also been just more players getting healthy, and also the emergence of Finn Sermon, who made his first start in that 1-1 Cascadia Cup game last year at Lumen on decision day.
He's one of the best center backs in the league. I forgot about that. That's an annoying development.
Yeah, he's just one of the best center backs in the league now, and I don't know, just kind of like a deal with it thing. Mostly just because he's really fast. Like, he's tracking down Bouanga in the open field and stuff. It's nuts. But the most important thing is Pantemis ends up getting hurt. Crépeau comes back in. His first start since that Vancouver game, that 4-1 loss in San Jose, where I was openly questioning, like, does he really, really want to win that starting job back? It turns out he does, because then he makes a couple of game, like, saving saves legitimately against the Defiance up at Starfire. He pitches a clean sheet against SKC, who, even though they were held shotless for a week, are actually kind of dangerous going forward, I think rather underratedly. And then he keeps a clean sheet against RSL. So he's coming off of back-to-back clean sheets. Pantemis could be back for this game. Neville's biggest decision for this game isn't which field player is going to start. It's going to be the goalkeeper.
Oh, interesting. I feel like I'm going to give my take. I think it's Pantemis. I think it is. Didn't he have a game, was it this season or last season, where he saved like 2 penalties in the same game?
Yeah, he kept the 2-0 loss in Nashville from being a 4-0 loss.
Yeah. So that was crazy, but it seems like I don't know. Listening to you talk about it right there, and then also just my own eye test from the Timbers that I've watched, I feel like it's Pantemis, but that is based on like pretty much no knowledge at all. I'm just firing that take out there.
See, that's the rational take, because even though based on the eye test, and I've done this with the underlying numbers, Pantemis is simply better at just keeping shots out. But Crépeau is a big game goalkeeper. He put in a performance and a half in the 1-0 victory, like, what was it, last Labor Day at Providence Park when these two teams played, and Fry had to go off injured. Yeah, so he was the starting goalkeeper in that game. He stood on his head. He actually headbutted Mason Toye so hard that he like made Mason's nose bleed after making a really good. Yeah, in celebration. Like, the guy's just an animal in these big games. So
I was at the MLS Cup in 2022 when it was LAFC versus Philly, and he was LAFC's keeper at the time. And that was the game that he laid his body on the line more than I've ever seen a soccer player do on that play, where Philly had a guy in over the top and he just charges out. And if he doesn't win the ball, that Philly guy is scoring, and the Philadelphia Union are the goddamn 2022 MLS Cup champions. And Maxime Crépeau laid out and got a compound fracture on his leg on the field, which was that was gruesome. But like,
and he got a red card for it.
Yeah, he got a red card and compound fracture on the same
I've never seen a play like that, and it saved the game. Even though McCarthy turns into the hero with the penalties, it's like it doesn't get the penalties if Crépeau doesn't do that.
People talk about Gareth Bale being the hero, but that was actually all about Crépeau. But interesting, Portland Timbers goalkeeper battle that I didn't realize had gotten that heated. We'll see. Let's see what Phil Neves has got up his sleeve. He's got to make a call. So what do you got,
also,
Phil?
Very heated within the fan base too. There are people who bring pairs of pants, like just jeans. They hang them up on 2 sticks before the game for games they know Pantemis is going to start. They start swinging them around like they're flags.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty heated. There are people who are just they cannot stand it when Crépeau starts, and they refuse to give him any credit for like good performances. I don't know. It's real. It's like a really weird, like, underlying theme to Neville's tenure is this whole goalkeeping situation.
Goalkeeper civil war,
which it does not apply to the players too, because they've played with each other growing up. They're both from Montreal.
They're both Canadian.
Yeah. They know each other. They're just like, oh well, if one of them start, I have to support. Even
just
if I'm
classic nice Canadian guys.
Yeah, and the fans are kind of going at each other's throats over it sometimes. I'm just like, it's not that serious. It might be, but I don't think it's that serious. What's more important is who's starting in front of them.
That's wild. All right, Jeremy, that's all I had for you here tonight. Thank you so much for hopping behind enemy lines here and giving us the inside scoop on the Portland Timbies. Really looking forward to the derby this weekend. Before you go, anything that you wanted to plug or shill or promote additionally on the work that you're doing at Cascadia FC that you didn't hit earlier, the floor is yours.
Yes. So this is a Sounders audience. You're probably not going to write you're probably not going to like the preview I have of this game. That's fine. I'm very partisan in my writing, especially when it comes to the Seattle Sounders. But either way, I'm hoping for those of you who are making the trip up, just have a safe drive. Make sure the bus doesn't catch on fire on the way back. And that's happened before. I have to put that as a disclaimer. So it actually happened in 22 after the Timbers won Cascadia Cup here. So I don't know. I'm hoping that you guys enjoy the trip, leave with a loss. But
are you admitting something? Are you admitting you burned the Sounders bus down?
I did not. Jeremy, but I did see that.
You have to admit it. If it happened, you have to admit it.
I saw the Twitter, like I saw like a picture of it on Twitter, and I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. But well, not the funniest thing I've ever seen, because like I've seen Jordan Morris play soccer. But,
all right.
At the same time, that's for Cascadia. I also host a MLS focused podcast through Colorado based outlet Box State Footy. It's called Outside the Box. It's 4 different guys in 4 different time zones who support 4 different teams, giving their takes on the league. And right now, at least early in the season, we kind of were discussing the Sounders as possibly a bit fraudulent, but I knew better. I picked them 3rd in the West to start the year. So, yeah, even though this is a derby game, this is still a win over a good team the Timbers can secure it. And likewise for Seattle, because the Timbers are better than a lot of people thought they were.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely, I think we were talking about before we started, before we went live, but it's like, I think when this derby, the first derby showed up last year, it was both teams were just down bad. Seattle's down bad after the last game, but on the whole, these teams just look much better. And that it always adds to the occasion when the stakes are higher, the clubs are higher on the table. The West is a cluster right now. Mm-hmm. So a lot on the line and always great games. Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I have 2 more things. First of all, we're finally getting green versus green in this game. That like year of the Timbers wearing pink and Seattle wearing red, that's not happening. Pretty sure Sounders are wearing their rave green, which is not green, but whatever. It's called green. And then Timbers are wearing dark green. So I love it when these teams actually wear green against each other. That's point number 1.
That's the combination that Ziggy Schmid got all heated about at the red card wedding because it was like they looked too similar.
I'm pretty sure you guys were in white for that one, if I remember.
Well, they changed at halftime.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they did.
That's the whole story.
Yeah. So,
well, that was not the whole story, but that sure was part of it.
Very minor detail. And then the second part of this, I'm very thankful that we only have to play you guys twice this year. I hated the unbalanced 3-match schedule where one team would host twice because I don't like it when these types of games feel like they're being diminished in terms of their value. If you play a rivalry game more than twice a year and that third time isn't in like a cup competition or something with actual stakes as opposed to just a season game, it just seems like the significance of it is like worn down a little bit. So I'm very happy that this is your guys' only trip to Providence Park, and I'll be happy in October when it's our only trip to Lobbing Field. It's just going to make the games feel a lot more special.
I agree with that take. Well, we'll be down there. So if you want to link up while we're all in the Rose City, we'll be there. Send me a text. Thanks again for the time. We'll see you in probably a couple days, and we'll get you back on soon. I appreciate everyone being welcoming to our Portland Timbies guest and indulging his strays directed at one Jordan Morris. But I get it. You had to.
It's fine. Listen, you couldn't keep the best player in the league because he didn't want to be in Portland. So I get it. You can take a shot at the best striker in the league, Jordan Morris. It's all fair game, Also,
saying that while wearing a Musovski jersey.
Damn right. And also
most lethal duo in the league.
I wanted to know before you go here. Ned Grabs is one of our favorite characters in all of MLS, and we sat next to him during the Open Cup match where you guys almost lost to our babies. And he was very not happy the whole time. And I really wanted to ask him about the Evander situation, but I didn't because I'm a journalist.
That's good. That's good self-restraint.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it. Take care, and we'll see you this weekend.
As always.
That was Jeremy Peterman, Portland Timbies writer, managing editor for Cascadia. Oh, God damn it.
We'll link it. It'll be in the description.
Cascadia FC. I thought that was it, but I was like, I don't want to say it wrong. Big time derby this weekend. Noah, how are you feeling about the derby after what transpired in the city of Los Angeles last night?
I never feel good about this game ever one time in my entire life. It's always just if we lose, God damn it, I'm not going on social media. And if we win, I'm going on social media and I'm replying to every person in the entire Timbers Army fan base with the dumbest possible things. And I'm just plugging my ears and yelling. So it's a fun one. I don't really know what's going to happen. The Timbers are always dangerous against the Sounders. It's like we talk about all the time. It's a rivalry match. Everything goes out the window. Nothing matters. But what I will say is we've been previewing it a ton. The fact that Ryan Kent is going to get involved in this game, just a notorious like force in some of the biggest rivalries in the entire world, like Fenerbahce and Galatasaray, and also
Rangers
Celtic, which
he-
is like the fucking derby, man.
Yeah, like
Like-
the derby of all derbies, and he really he made his mark on that one several times.
Yeah.
So no, I think I was actually you guys will see on my interview with Derek Clark, we talk about the similar topic, but like I had the same thought, which is that we obviously all really like what we've seen from Ryan Kent so far, but it seems like he might be especially adept for a derby game. At least I'm hoping so. He seems like one of the other things I talked to Derek about was how it's not just derbies, it's just like he got a reputation in Scotland as like a big game player. So let's see if he can make that type of impact. The team needs a get right game, and we've seen a lot of really awesome stuff from him in all the other games that he's played so far. So I think that is sort of an X factor here. We've been calling the Ryan Kent thing the X factor of Seattle's whole season, really, but I think that's like especially true in this game in particular.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. I am sad that Jordan Morris will not be in attendance to this match. I would have loved to have him absolutely butcher stuff up, but we've got the GOAT, okay? Listen, Ari, what name does it say on the back of my jersey? Because this is the man who I think is going to score 2 goals in this match.
Danny Musovsky of the Las Vegas Lights.
Damn right. Moose is about to... okay, here's my question to you, Ari. Derek Richards, thank you for the $3 super sticker. My GOAT.
Thank you, Derek.
Love you, Derek. My question is, there's always a memorable moment from these games, no matter what, whether it's an official or a player or just like some bullshit, right? A bus catching on fire. Who do you think is going to be involved in one of those special moments in this match?
Well, I mean, I'm hoping it's Ryan Kent, because if that is the answer, then I think that will mean good things.
But what if he like
for
punches
Seattle.
someone again?
Or it could be that too. That is, we should note that one of his memorable moments in the Rangers Celtic derby was when he punched the guy, which, I don't condone that, but it's a show of intensity.
I condone it. I condone it.
So
we need a little bit more venom in these games, I think. Diego Chara is like 500 years old, dude. Like he's going to have a walker here in the next match that he plays against Seattle. So like we might as well we need some new venom, Ozzy Alonso isn't here anymore. Chara is going to be dead in about a year. Like we've got to bring up this new generation to feel the absolute hate. I see some chatters are giving
I think
their takes here.
Paulie Primetime is a good shout.
Yeah,
he really hasn't had that many opportunities to make his mark in a game like this. And as one of the masters of shithousery, I could see him thriving
absolutely
under these circumstances. Here's we got Derek shouting out Obed Vargas. That's another good one.
Love that.
Here's one for you. I got a good one.
All right.
What if Jesus Ferreira scores a goal in this game?
What a game this would be for Jesus Ferreira to break out.
That would be if I could pick anyone.
Line that I've said 10,000 times, but if you could pick a match, it would be this one.
Oh, I mean, like if I could pick anyone on the entire team to get a goal in this game, that would be easy.
Can he get 6 in this game?
Yeah, cover your tattoo.
Yeah,
bet.
let's cover me because that tattoo.
Seattle once did score 6 at Providence Park, famously.
Yep.
So maybe I mean, Ferreira, I don't think is gonna. How do you think they're gonna start the
Bert? Oh yeah, you know what? Should we pull up the lineup builder?
Actually, let's pull it up, and I think I figured out.
Team.
I was having a hard time zooming in.
Yeah,
and I think I figured out how.
There's a like a foot mob. Wait, go back. Go to the foot mob one. Yeah, because you can actually do real teams. See, okay, so hit pre-fill and you just search the Sounders.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can move people around from there.
Whoa, that's fucking
pretty sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's,
you can like X people out and stuff.
All right,
but-
we got to show the people this.
Listen, we're advanced on the technology. We may not know how to use a goddamn microphone, but buddy, I'm gonna find a website. Okay.
All right, so when I was doing this, there, see, that's how you do it.
Oh, dude, bro.
Do you
you're
see
goated.
that?
Wait, but you got to make it bigger on the bottom because we're losing Andy T. That looks
Okay.
good.
Um,
I think you can click them and swap them. This is just last game.
Some of these guys don't look like actually the actual players, but like that looks like Nuhu from like 2017. Dude. All right, so
Look, you can pick from the players.
So
You can
we're
also
gonna
change
go-
the formation if you want.
Yeah, we're
at
gonna
the
go
top.
Fry in goal. Let's do the 4-2-3-1. Oh wait, whoops. Where's the 4-2-3-1? This should not be this hard to find. 4-2-3-1. All right. So who are you feeling for the back line?
I definitely think we're gonna get Nuhu in this game. I think. Can you just drag him? Oh, you got him. Look at that.
okay.
I think it'll be a. It's got to be Yamar.
It's gonna be Yamar Kim.
It's gonna be Yamar Kim. And then. Here's my take. I know KKR.
This is actually a good
played-
debate. This is good debate.
I know KKR played a lot of minutes, but I would love to see him in this game. I thought he was the best player by far.
I think
Short rest though, that's tough to ask for a wing back.
let's do this. What we think they're gonna do, and I think the whole point of starting KKR at LAFC
Yeah,
is
it
to
was to-
start Alex
yeah,
in this
yeah.
game. But that is that's a good debate, and it's become a good debate in like a good way. It's
Yeah.
not like
They give
K-
you different things.
they give you different things, and I think Alex has been in as good a form in the last few weeks
Mhm.
as he's been in the last like year or so. I think.
Yeah.
So, all right. So it's the Nuhu, Kim, Yamar, Alex Roldan backline. We're gonna hit it with the
Obed
Christian
and-
Obed
yeah,
double pivot,
easy.
But then is when we get to the real debate.
No.
De Rosario on the wing. I think
Yeah, we're going De Rosario winger.
it's gonna be Rusnak in the middle.
Okay, here's what they're gonna do. Here's my take. We're gonna get Ryan Kent and Pedro de la Vega together. I think this is what they were setting up.
De La Vega did start and play a lot of the LAFC game.
Moose has got to start, right? I don't know. That's what I'm
So-
thinking.
You think this is how they're going to do it? I think this is it. Except the question is right here. Like, Rothrock just went. So I think
Yeah,
I don't
Rothrock
think
went too.
I don't think Rothrock is gonna.
Rothrock went 90,
start.
didn't he?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he did.
Yeah, Rothrock went 90. So I'm gonna go with De La Vega. Kent, Rusnak, De La Vega is my take here. But I'm sure we could actually know if we texted Jeremiah and asked what he's been seeing in training.
Yeah, but this is more fun.
This is way more fun. This is
try
a
and
guess.
guess.
Yeah. So,
I mean, there's a lot of this that I think is just solves itself, like the double pivot and
Yeah.
the back line, but and obviously
Okay.
the number 9.
I think we're in agreement here, right? Like this is probably what we would like to see.
Let's see what it would look like with you can see this is the one I like.
Okay, let's talk subs, right? So our full substitution look. Let's say we're up 1, it's a 1-1. You need some fresh legs coming in. Who are you picking to come in on those wing positions?
So I think something that factors in there is the fact that Ryan Kent is, I mean, he's probably 60 fit at this point, right?
Mhm. Sure.
So
You don't want to overwork him, that's for sure.
yeah, I think if he's 60 fit, you can let him go 60. If he's more like 45 fit, but I feel like if they were starting him, they started him in which game? They started him.
They started him 2 matches ago.
Yeah, exactly. So they can start him, and I think they will start him. I think that's the right call. I think he is very clearly the best attacking player on this team already. So there's no reason to not bust that out for this game. Absolutely no reason not to.
So who's your first sub? Coming out of
So,
halftime,
yeah, let's talk
who's your
about
first substitution? Where are you making it? I mean, obviously this is predetermined, but
So with the knowledge that Ryan Kent is not 90 fit, My first
You're
sub,
taking him off at half.
at half or at 60, like
Okay.
whatever one he's like more fit to do. I do this.
Mm,
I do this.
okay.
That's my first one
Got it.
because of fitness,
Sure.
not because of anything other than the fact that like the guy can't play the full 90 right now. So that's the first one. And then I don't know. What do you think? What or do you disagree?
I think I
disagree?
disagree. I think I'm
All right,
keeping my first sub this is going to be, here's my thing. It's going to be dependent on what winger is playing better. I think if you're having a De La Vega stinker, which can happen, right? Like we're all allowed to, sometimes you need to light a candle in the bathroom. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to pretend to like De La Vega, like Kent is blowing the doors off of this game, right? My first substitution is Georgie for De La Vega.
I kind of like that.
And as pointed out by Jake and Chad, Georgie got 2 assists against Portland and then handed them 2 goals. You just need that chaos in this game.
Like, and honestly, like we haven't talked about it, but it's not a bad platform for a Georgie game.
It's not. And
I think the Defiance game proved that.
Yeah, and I think with Kent on the field, he provides that amazing interplay with Rusnak to where you're basically just going to get to spring Georgie a shit ton. And then Kent and Rusnak can combine in that middle with Musovski, who's proven that he can work really well in between that space there. I mean, that's a recipe for a nightmare on tired legs because this first half is going to be a goddamn beatdown. Like these two teams hate each other. They're going to be going at each other, and
the Portland Timbies play these games like
it's the fucking Super Bowl,
like it's the Super Bowl every time, and like they're going to be doing that. They're going to be that they do every time in these games. I'd like to think that Seattle has gotten past the whole intensity issue of the Timbies like seeming like if they don't win the game, they're gonna die.
Yeah,
and they play every derby game like that, and that's how you should play a derby game.
Yeah.
So Seattle's done a better job, I think, the last couple times these teams have played of matching that. But you just got to be ready for that, man. Like it's not you can't come out lollygagging it at all and think that they're not gonna jump on top of you in the first 15 to 20 minutes of this game playing at home. Like they're gonna come out playing like godforsaken maniacs.
Yeah, I think honestly, even this could be a starting lineup right here. And then you bring in Pedro at halftime as a super sub and just let him run crazy mode. I don't know. Like, obviously, I think he is bought in on this rivalry. Like, he seems like a player who just wants to go and eat. Pedro does. And so, I mean, yeah, obviously picking him over Manungu is kind of a like foregone conclusion, but I don't know, man. Like having him come in at half might just cook. It might just cook.
Yeah, no, it's not a terrible take. Jake is asking about false 9 Ferreira with those wingers. See, now you're talking my language.
There you go.
Little false 9 Ferreira.
Except him and Rusnak can't play together.
So you take who can he play with?
He can play the 10
slide De La Vega over.
You could take Rusnak off and put Ferreira on and keep Moose on.
Oh, that's the play.
You know what I mean? Like,
but that's not really false nining. That's just kind of.
I mean, you can still play a false. You can just play the
sort of like the second striker, like he was supposed to play off Jordan.
It's the 9.5 position.
Right.
That I think who wrote about that in the Sounders. On Sounder Heart. Someone did.
It could be an opportunity to employ the Rusnak Ferreira rotation that we've been talking about with the knowledge that they haven't been playing well when they play together.
Yeah, I wouldn't put them on the field in this game together at all, and I wouldn't put Ferreira on the field at all in this match if I'm being honest. Especially with he looked like he didn't want to fucking play. A
lot of people are saying that. I don't know if I ascribe that. I think that's an easy thing to say when a guy has a bad game, but like. I don't think the issue with him at any point this year has been like effort or desire. I think it's like just a legitimate like non-tactical fit so far at times. And that's what I saw. I mean, that's just me. That's what I saw.
I'm being harsh. Like, obviously, he wants to play soccer and he wants to score and he wants to win a game. He wouldn't be a professional sports player if he didn't. But I think that
his body language, like, he was doing the St. Louis body
cross out
language
shit.
Yeah.
I texted you about that. I was like, oh no, here we go. So I am not confident in him playing in this game, which is going to get very physical, very fast, and the refs will let it go. That's just always what happens. Like, they just let this shit go because they want the content, right? MLS wants the content, so they let that shit go. And I can't really blame them. It's kind of fire. But Jesus, I do not want to see him in this game, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't mind him subbing on in the second half, but
we better be up. If he's coming on, we better be leading.
You definitely, he's not in the first choice 11 right now. I think that's pretty much established. Ryan Kent is. Funk Rate says that he doesn't think Kent is going to start. I think you got to start him in this game, man. I think you got to. Like, there's just
there's no downside to starting him,
especially
with how many good wingers you have. Like, you can plug and play. If he's throwing up a stinker, you can just put on Rothrock or Manungu or whoever, or Pedro or whatever. Like, I think there's just like, there's just too many good options at the wing to not start him and to show, like, give him more confidence.
To me, it's just so clear that he is the best attacker on the team. It might seem
Major League Soccer.
It might seem early to say that, but like, just from what I've seen so far, that's what I see. So
this dude has 3 assists already.
Your best 11 has him in it, like, no question about it. Like, yeah. And then I think there is the factor to it as well of what we were talking about with like him being up for derby games, being a big game player. Like, he has, that's not a reputation that we're like coming up with out of thin air. That is like what his reputation was in the Scottish Premiership, was a guy who was, yes, very dynamic, fun to watch, all the stuff that we've liked seeing from watching him play.
Yeah.
But that is just like up for the moment. So you got to, I think you got to throw him out there and give him a chance to show that in MLS. Derek, thank you for the $2 super chat.
Goat.
You're the man. Goat. If Ferreira doesn't play at Portland, that's a bad sign. Yeah, it is a bad sign.
I think a lot of things are a bad sign with him right now.
I think the way the last game went was a bad sign. And I guess you want to talk about that. I was going to talk about that at some point, which is that I think where I'm at with the Ferreira stuff. And like, look, the first thing I'll say is that everyone who was chirping and stuff, like, they were doing this stuff earlier this season, and then he had a couple games where he actually played well. So I'm just going to throw out the warning. It's friendly advice. You can take it or leave it. But when you are when you're basing your definitive takes and victory laps purely off the most recent game, just off the most recent game that you saw, and literally taking nothing else into account, it very often happens that the narrative will change on you. It already happened once this season. I don't know how some people haven't learned this, but I guess it's because it's easy to just like hop in our chat and get typing. But like, I'm just saying, like,
because there's no, like, if you lob a take and you're wrong, you just don't say shit. But if you lob a take and you're right, you do say shit. At least with us, like, we lob takes all the time and we are accountable for them, whether they're right or wrong.
I always try to admit when I'm wrong. Like, if
I love being wrong. It's honestly way funnier when we're wrong.
We fire so many takes. I
bought
a
goddamn jersey because I was so wrong.
It's like the U22 hit rate. Okay, you're throwing darts. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they miss.
Look at me.
But anyway,
you think that I fucking know shit about this game? Look at me, dude.
Okay? With it acknowledged that like, the chirping in the victory laps they're still premature with 2/3 of the season left. But I will say, like, speaking for myself, like, that game last night, and I don't want to overreact to it, but that game last night put me in I'm not like calling it a bust. I'm not ready to write off the whole idea of him being a contributor to this team, but I've gone from like feeling pretty confident that that it's going to turn around and that he's going to at least capture some of the form that he had at FC Dallas. Feeling pretty confident about that. To like my worry-o-meter of it actually just never getting past like this place that it's in right now. That's like crept into my mind more than it had been previously.
I don't
just
think
like because we had seen progress, but then we saw a backslide, and we'll see what happens, because honestly, I could be falling into what I was talking about of recency bias and basing the take and the worry or whatever on what happened in just the last game and not the full body of work. And also this most recent game, I mean, you do have to acknowledge the rotation. People call it an excuse. It's just a reality. Like that game's on short rest with a ragtag motley. It was the motliest of motley crews out there. So I don't even know how much to read into anyone who was in that 11 because of that. And another thing I was thinking about today too is like with the Danny JP double pivot, I don't even like, it wasn't great. It wasn't good at all in the second half. I don't know how much to even get on them for that, because that was the first time they had like played
in like a month.
And you're getting thrown right into a midweek at LAFC, which is a very difficult team to play against.
Especially through the fucking midfield. Let's not talk about that. That's their whole game plan.
Exactly. So like, I don't even know if I should be like
Brian
chalking
set them up for failure on that one a little bit.
But then how would you have handled it different?
I'm not saying that I would handle it different. I'm just saying you get set up for it's the next man up mentality thing. But the problem is when your next man up is a guy who's 38 years old, doesn't have knees anymore, and was never fast to begin with. And then a guy who just career-wise, he's 22 and like hasn't had consistent starting minutes, is really great on attack, but isn't necessarily great in that position and getting back and defending. Like, you're gonna have some defensive struggles, especially with two center backs who are like, I mean, John Bell didn't play good either. I thought he had more to do with this game being bad than any of the two center mids. I mean, that double pivot wasn't good, but neither was John Bell.
Neither was really like
anyone.
I thought Rothrock was acquitted himself well in the first half, and I thought like for how not great the Ferreira shift was, De La Vega was at least like making some stuff happen.
I mean,
out there.
On the tier list, like sure, but I mean, for me, it was KKR number one.
That was the other one I was gonna say.
And then at the bottom, it was Andrew Thomas.
It's just like,
but that I do want to hit my Ferreira take on this.
Yeah, so
also,
that's
you're good. We're you know us. We just meander through the conversation. Yeah. Will you put up the Noah should we put the bet at 4 goals? Okay, listen. Here's what I'll say. Why don't we bring it to 5? Why don't we bring it to 5? Because it's at 6 right now. Why don't we bring it to 5 and even 5?
You just got to slowly get it down.
No, or like honestly, I'll keep it at 6. Like Have
you decided what tat you're gonna get?
I'm gonna get the 9. I'll get a 9.
That's actually kind of a sick tat. That's not even that bad of a.
But it's just funny because I notoriously, like when I played soccer in college, and then I had when I played for the FC Dallas Academy, I had a season where I had like 15 assists and 0 goals. Like I scored like
so
2 goals in my
entire
career. Yeah, so this is kind of a good bit. But I mean, or I would just get like Jesus, but with the accent over it. I think that could be kind of funny. Something we'll figure it out. But listen, honestly, it's up to you, man. Like I don't care.
You agreed to 6.
I agreed to 6. I'm happy.
But he was offering 4. I think 5 is a good compromise.
I think if you want to bring it down, be fair, 5 I'm cool with, or we stay with 6. I don't give a shit. Because the thing is, man, if you get 5, might as well get 6, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Can the tattoo be a 9.5? It's gotta be. It should be a false 9 tat.
That'd be good. Okay, I'll just do. I'll do the Sounders lineup, just like the dots or whatever.
Derek brings up a point that maybe it'll tamp me down a little bit.
Yeah.
Jesus played 1 game with the ideal starting 11 against Nashville, and he was the best player on the field.
I don't think. Okay, here's my take on it. Right, I'm a Jesus Ferreira believer. for many reasons. Obviously, my FC Dallas internal bias, and just watching him play throughout his years. But I think I can agree that like he has not been putting up a good showing in the recent, and he's not performed to what we expected him to perform. But what I also want to keep in mind is that he's on a new team with new teammates. And when you saw when in Champions Cup, when he did have teammates he knew in Areola,
Yeah,
he was insane.
They
He
looked
was amazing.
incredible. They were the dynamic duo against Antigua.
So I think that it's a little bit of that new team. He's never been on another team in his entire life, right? Like there's a shift for that. He's in a new place. That's a change. He's down. He came back from injury. We talked about this with Pedro de la Vega all year last year. The weight that was on Pedro literally made him play so much less free, frantic, and bad. I think the same thing is happening to Jesus. Like I really do. Like there is so much expectation on him when it comes to you had 50 goals. You've already scored 50 goals. Like you can't peak yet. You're supposed to be better. You're supposed to be this $10 million European player. And it's like, you can't even score in MLS anymore. Like what's going on? I think those narratives are in his own head. And like, it's hard when you're a player to really change that until you can get going. It took Pedro de la Vega an entire season and an off season and then an injury and then all of that stuff, right? And he's still not there yet. Like he's showing those glimpses of being really good, but like I don't think we can definitively say that Pedro de la Vega has broken out, but I do think that he's like a very talented, very good player and fighting for a starting role on this team.
You can see, like, I think watching De La Vega this year, I feel a lot more like, okay, I see what the whole
but it's like
I see what the whole idea is here.
Jesus is 24, man. Like, I understand that that's not super young in modern soccer terms because we have fucking Obed Vargas, who's literally the best defensive midfielder in the entire league, but like, and he's 12. But, you know, I think that Jesus is dealing with struggles that he's never had to deal with in his career before. And I think it's going to be growing pains, and maybe this just won't be his season. But guess what? He's at this club for multiple years potentially, and that's just what it is. Like if you can get the best out of him in the next few seasons, awesome. If not, I really do, and I agree with you. The process of it all was the right thing to do. I will stand on that aspect of it, no matter what anyone says. Like it would like with the opportunity to bring in a player with that pedigree as a non-DP. If he was a DP right now, this would be an entirely different conversation. Absolutely,
it would be an entirely different conversation, and a lot of
that's why it's even hard to compare it to Pedro.
A lot of the exactly, but like a lot of the crashing out over it would be honestly pretty merited if they were in a situation where they brought him in as a DP and it looked like this. It's not like it's no stakes with bringing him in as a high TAM player or whatever, but it's a lot less stakes, especially because you have a lot of options on this roster right now where like we've seen it, like with him not in super great form and bringing Ryan Kent in, the attack has looked great in recent weeks before this last game. So like the downside is not as bad. And with it being max TAM, and that was pretty much.
Well, there was
the upside is still there.
Yeah, there was a point where we were both of us, or I guess me mainly, was talking about how when Rosnak gets back from injury, it doesn't matter. The starting number 10 should be Jesus Ferreira. That was a conversation that we had, regardless of if you agree with it
because
or not.
of how good, like Derek mentioned, because of how good that Nashville game looked, which I feel like that sort of got that just doesn't get talked about. That's kind of what I mean about like it oftentimes becomes just a referendum on the last game that we saw.
Yeah, it's what you've done for me lately. Sure.
And for me personally, when I think about these things, I try and take the entire body of work into account. So when we're talking about the entire body of work with this particular player, you have a handful of games that looked like what we saw last night at LAFC, but you also have 7 assists. So it's like you've got to weigh both of those things. And that was my only take the other day. So I don't know. like a lot of the chirping that we were dealing with actually had nothing to do with the take that I
Well,
was saying.
that's the problem, right? Like you can point to individual. This is the problem with just being a fan. It's not a problem with being a fan. It's just the reality of being a fan is you are in that moment. Okay, you say it. This is why it's fans should not be GMs because in this moment, absolutely, he's not playing well, and like that individual game was terrible. But if you're not looking at the entire body of work, if you're not looking at the entire body of the deal, if you're not realizing that, oh yeah, we have way more than half a season to go, and oh yeah, he's got more time on his contract, and oh yeah, this is, all of these additional things. It's like if we wrote off Pedro de la Vega after last season, I mean, I was very critical of Pedro de la Vega, but obviously like I was willing to give him that time to develop and all of that. If we just took his last season, then we're like, yeah, actually, we're just going to cut you. We're going to sell you because there was a million teams interested. Who knows, right? Who knows what he's going to become? It's about being patient sometimes with players, especially players in difficult situations or players who the talent is there. They just need to feel it again. They just need to feel it again. Moose, beautiful example.
Yeah, and I get why it is frustrating. I do, because last night was like a perfect example of the type of game that I was hoping that this team would be able to handle and compete in, because it's a situation where it's about as rotated as it gets.
Yeah.
And you have Pedro de la Vega, your $7 million player, on the field. You have Jesus Ferreira, a 50-plus goal scorer in the league, former best 11 player on the field in your rotated lineup. When you talk about that on paper before the season starts, and you think about going into like a midweek game where you have to rotate, and you're like, man, well, if the rotate lineup has Jesus Ferreira and de la Vega in it, that's pretty nice right there. That should be the start of a competitive lineup. And I felt the same way looking up and down that lineup. The JP Leva double pivot, I would have said the same thing. Like, yeah, you can, if you're rotating that's like a great option to get by, and you should be able to ride that to being competitive in a game where most MLS teams might struggle.
Well, and it worked in the
last
it worked in the last LAFC game too.
Yeah.
So you have that as a touch point.
That's a good point. That's a good point. We've seen examples of what I'm talking about with the rotation, still having these really good depth pieces and competing and taking draws, wins, whatever, in games where MLS teams would struggle. We have actually seen that used to effect this year in a situation like the first LAFC game, where that was a pretty much just as rotated a lineup, was it not?
Yeah.
And they scored 5. So there is the flip side of it as well. But I can understand why, seeing a game where you have a lineup like that, which has these depth pieces that you ostensibly were going to be able to lean on to take results in a situation like that. And then for me, it's really not that they took the L. I honestly, taking the L in that game, MLS, man, like those results when you're in a fixture congestion situation like that, they come for literally everybody. I brought up this example on the post-game live, but I'll just say it again because I think it illustrates exactly what I'm talking about, which is Inter Miami last year when they set the points record. They were literally the best team, like points-wise, in the history of the league. They had a game exactly like the one Seattle played last night where they were rotating. I can't remember what they were rotating, but it was Champions Cup or leagues, whatever. It was something. They're rotating something.
Champions Cup League.
They threw out
trophy.
Then they were supposed to be last year's Inter Miami roster was getting talked about as way deeper than the one Seattle was putting out this year. I heard pundits talking about how that was the deepest roster of all time in any league ever.
It could never be,
and all this stuff. It could never be topped. They were in the exact same situation, went to FC Cincinnati, which I think is a team that's been about on par in quality with LAFC over the last few years. They got 6-1.
Yeah, they did get clapped up.
The team that set the points record had the exact same situation that Seattle dealt with last night. So that happens in MLS.
Especially midweekend rotated.
However, I will say the disappointment of them getting 4-0'd in that scenario, valid. I feel exactly like that because if you're going to take the L, that's part of being in MLS, but shouldn't have got 4-0'd. So I think both of those things are true.
I mean, I don't think I mean, the game got away from them, right? And it was just over. Like, I think that that's also the reality.
4-0
of a
was
midweek game.
arguably harsh, yeah.
Like, I don't think that game.
It was 1-0 at half. They
Yeah,
were
like,
in it at half.
They were in it at half. It seemed fine. I think that I don't know. Like I said, like there was some characteristically worst career performances out there. Andrew Thomas, there's definitely a hole in the wall in that LAFC visiting locker room because that dude had his worst match probably of his life and he knows it. You know what I mean? It's like he's not happy with that performance. He wants that one back. You've got John Bell who looked shaky as hell. He wants that one back. I'm sure that JP wants that one back. If there's anyone who's the most critical of JP, it's JP. He will tell you that he had a bad game and that he's not playing well. And like sometimes you put up stinkers, and I think that it's exacerbated when it's midweek rotated and before the biggest rivalry match of your season. It is what it is. It's hard for me to get upset about this game. It's hard for me to. It's one of those games where it's like you celebrate if you win, you pretend it didn't happen if you lose.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
what. Like how long have we all been watching MLS? Like you should know by now what the hell is going to happen in these games.
Yeah, that's what I don't. Sometimes I feel like it must be some people's like first year watching
maybe
MLS because midweek rotated 4-0. Yeah, like welcome to reality.
Welcome to the league, buddy.
Welcome to like the
first
life.
Time.
Welcome to the life we all live. Yeah,
first time
every year.
Welcome to the gallows.
But what I think is that like the mark of a truly great team, an elite team in this league, are the teams that can take results in games like that. Like the best, deepest teams that have the best chances of like being relevant and winning trophies. Well, yeah, and I think that is actually a great point. And like, not only have they done it this year, but they have been a team that can do that. Not every time. Like you have games in there, like the one that we saw last night. It happened in San Diego earlier this year. But I think for the most part, one thing that I've appreciated about the Sounders is that the types of blowouts that we've seen in San Diego and at LAFC, we don't have to deal with those that much. Like we really don't, compared to a lot of teams in the league, at least. So it's unfortunate that it's happened twice this year. But if that doesn't become a recurring pattern, and they can get back to being a team that's at least like my thing in those games is just hang with it.
Yeah,
just hang with it. Give yourself a chance at taking a point, taking a result, and just don't let it go off the rails. And I think actually, to be fair, last night they probably did that more than we're acknowledging because like it was 1-0 at half, and then the second goal was in what minute, like 50 something.
Yeah,
I don't remember, but they like that a result in that game was attainable into the second half, and then it got away from them late.
Yeah, I mean, they were pressing. You could tell they were pushing super hard to come out of the half, and it just kind of gassed the Sounders. Like I was saying, like I really think that it was good game planning by LAFC. I mean, they
were also seething mad about what Seattle did to them at Lumen Field, and they were like, if we let these guys like do anything in this game, we sacrifice more dignity than we sacrificed the first time around. So they had to do what they did. To be honest, it was a little tit for tat. Seattle got them earlier this year. They returned the favor. Fair enough.
I agree.
No Collins tonight, Jax. We're gonna shoot to do one from the Rose City.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. I'm not making any promises on post game live up that way, but we'll do our best and try and take some calls, and hopefully there's some happier call. The post game live calls after the 4-0 were actually
they were fun.
They were still a great time.
Yeah.
So all right, coming up on an hour 45. Do you want to watch this Will Kuntz video?
I do. I had a couple of things to hit before this because I think that's probably the best content. I just had some short ones.
Yeah.
Some news, folks. Sources have said that Leo Chu is back on the transfer block, and FC Dallas are actively shopping him in in attempts to get back their U22 spot. Sounds a little familiar, does it not, Ari?
It does. And I would love to clown on him for that, but coming off one of the not good Ferreira games, I feel like I can't.
This is
because like think about if Ferreira was just smashing it up right now, and then they were also trying to offload Leo Chu, who was their biggest return. That would be like you would be able to call it a fleece job for Seattle. But until Seattle gets like their requisite value out of Ferreira, I feel like we can't really do that dunk.
I mean, but still, it's like, dude, we're at least getting a serviceable 5 assists.
Yeah,
Leo Chu has a goal, I think.
Yeah,
and that's it. Like he hasn't done anything, and this is
it's true. At least Ferreira is
like
something
contribution wise. From my source, he barely played. He came into preseason way out of shape, finished last in the beep test, then had a calf injury, never played until the very last preseason game, didn't play the first 3 games of the season, then was playing like a second striker for 3 games, was terrible, even though he scored once. He's been out since we played you guys with a knee injury, but I don't know if that's a real injury now that I know they're trying to move him. Yeah, but
welcome to the experience.
Yeah,
FC Dallas. Welcome.
Apparently, they haven't played him as a winger yet, though, which I think is absolutely hilarious.
Jeremy actually had a sick take before he went live, which was he was saying that he was advocating at one point for the Timbers to get Leo Chu because of the stylistic fit, but then also kind of like the bit of
that's a good bit. We were pro Evander.
Like so. imagine like if you steal your rival's U22 and then it hits after it didn't hit there.
Yeah.
I'd actually, when he first said it, I was like, pretty bad take, but I like the spirit. But then I was like, I'm
pro that because I know he will flop there.
Right. Well, we know that, but at the time that they didn't know.
He is such an interesting character because he is this like he's the apple in the Garden of Eden, Ari. Do you know this story? I don't know. But the snake in the apple
Jews have
and the temptation.
I think the Jews have that one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just know like colloquially or whatever. Yeah. Do you know this one? But like he's the temptation, right? He's hanging on the tree. He's like people are like, don't take him. You don't want him, trust me. Only bad things are going to come. You don't want to do it. You do not want to do it.
They need to try and trade him to someone.
And then someone comes along and they're like, ooh, fresh red apple. And someone's like, dude, trust me, you don't want to do it. And they're like, fuck you.
I bet like CF Montreal or something would do it.
Oh, or like San Jose. Do you think San Jose is?
I could kind of see. I was thinking one of the things about the Timby's take is I was like, doesn't he kind of seem like a Timby?
He does. He does seem like a Timber.
He kind of strikes me as a Timber.
Kind of lazy. Doesn't want to play. Like,
but then randomly busts out with like incredible assists. Sometimes,
like bangers only. One game he'll have 5 goal contributions and then do nothing the rest
for
of the
like
season.
3 months. Yeah,
I think.
But a Quake.
Timber.
Any team that plays like kind of like energy drink counterattack, like I could see him as like a Red Bull too, maybe.
Yeah. What's another one? I feel like he could go. You know where I want to see him, and this is crazy. I want to see him on the Crew.
I mean, if anyone can get 15 plus goal contributions out of Leo Chu, it's Wilfred Nancy.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter who you put in that guy's lineup.
Or Vancouver.
Well, yeah, that's the other. That's like the new. He's like what's the like Wired expired? Like Wilfred Nancy
like
is
Wired,
expired, and Jesper Sorensen is Wired.
Yeah, he's the. But yeah, Leo Chu is. I don't know, man. It was so funny when the Sounders had him. They wanted to unload him so bad, but they kept getting offers where they would basically lose money on the deal, where they would have like had to just hedge and lose money, but they didn't want to do it. And now, like, do you feel like that was bad? Like, do you feel like they should have just sold him? Or do you think that like the deal with Dallas, it ended up working out as a chip, especially because he's flopping?
I think it ended up working out. I mean, I think it depends on how the Ferreira stuff ends up going. If Ferreira ends up being like a total flop, bust of a signing, then you could say, damn, they just should have done it. They should have handled that differently. They should have sold him on earlier, and then could have avoided a lot of stuff. But like, I mean, you remember how hyped we were when we saw that Craig Wives had finessed Jesus Ferreira on this team with Leo Chu as the big
bro. They got him off the books.
Like
That
they
was
were,
crazy.
that's like they literally would have done that for no return at that point.
Well, that's the thing. His salary was so high too for what he was doing. He was a U22 spot. Like it was all of this stuff, and now I was so shocked that Dallas took that deal because they're notable for. They're the 5 U22 style team, right? Like they
they developed their own U22.
Yeah, I was like, bro, what are you doing with this? What are you doing with this guy? Like, what's up?
I think for them, they were really looking to move Ferreira.
Yeah,
and I think they were in a situation where
we needed cap space.
That was more important than. It's like, yeah, we'll take a flyer on this U22 that didn't fully hit, but looked okay at times. Maybe a change of scenery can unlock them. I don't think it was like a horrible gamble from their perspective. I think it seems worse because of how much Leo Chu we watched. Right. We probably watched more than their scouts did.
Yeah, 100%. They're like, oh, this guy, you need him to be off your books for us to get rid of Jesus Ferreira. Well, boss says we got to do it, so. Sure, buddy. So welcome to the team.
That's probably more what the situation was. But,
yeah. Well, we wish you well, Leo Chu, Mr. Chu. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think he goes to Brazil? Like, where do you think that's?
I mean, that's what people are always saying is going to happen, and then it hasn't yet. So, I'm not sure how much of that is like real interest, and how much of that is his agent being like, "Be careful because all of Brazil is going to pay a bag for him."
That was a good, he the rumors of him being transferred back there every 5 minutes was a good bit. That's that. And then I had one more here. That was a Blue Sky reply that I thought was so good. Does Blue Sky have DMs?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna DM this to you. Wait, does it really?
What is the topic of?
It's about Danny Musovski and about a potential national team opportunity.
Lobbing Scorchers just got the Jeremiah Oshan follow on.
Wow, what a fraud, bro! What the hell?
On Instagram, I think that's 450. Anyone in chat who hasn't followed us on Instagram, please follow us on Instagram. We're on the road to credibility.
Why can't I? You have the Lobbing Scorchers Blue Sky on your thing, right?
I'm logged into mine right now. I'd have to.
You can do 2 accounts.
Can you just show it to me? Like, what is?
Yeah, I was just trying to get it on the screen for chat.
Oh,
I'll get it. I'm pulling a U right now. I'm sorry.
Okay, sick. Great tech as always. The Lobbing Scorchers technology experience is a great one. You know what I enjoyed was you being the one who didn't have the mic working.
Oh, bro, it's been bad the last few times for me. I think that it's like it's like a disease or something. Like it's been leaching.
I had my brother in town today who's the tech guy, and I was like giving him the whole. I was like, I plug it in every time I turn the switch on, and then I talk, and the mic's not going. And he was like, "Yeah, you got to do this, this, and this." And then it was like,
okay, so this is your Blue Sky. You can pull it up.
Okay. Whoops.
Dude, how many? Also, I wish you guys could see Ari's desktop right now. I don't know how his computer is running any RAM. He has, I'm not joking, I think 100 tabs open right now.
I rock a lot of tabs.
Which, no wonder the video keeps skipping. Like, you got to close some of these tabs, big dog.
I'll close some tabs, but not yet. All right, this is what you're.
Yeah, click on the tweet itself. Or post, sorry. At Lobbing Scorchers. The purchase of the Moose Las Vegas Lights kit made me wonder, how deep is the North Macedonian men's national team at forward? Or put another way, when do we start the lobbying campaign? I don't think it's impossible. If he can keep up his goal match pace, he'll quickly have more goals than all forwards scored last year combined, Northern Macedonian. So I'm not sure if
is he like
Moose
eligible?
Qualifies, but I feel like he has a Wikipedia page that should help us with that. So I thought we could do a little bit of a dive just to look and see if Moose, one, can qualify for the Northern Macedonian men's national team, and 2, how do we get into contact with the Northern Macedonian national team to pitch our idea That's not our idea of how.
Well, I'm
he
just
could do
not
it.
sure if this idea is coming from like Moose is from Nevada.
Yeah, but if one of his parents was born
Yeah.
in Northern Macedonia, I believe that he can technically be eligible for a one-time swap.
I mean, it's a great idea if he's eligible, but my agenda is Moose for USMNT.
Oh, God, I want to know, like, where are his parents from? Maybe on his.
A couple weeks ago, I challenged chat to name me a better striker in the USMNT pool than Danny Musovsky, and there were some names out
Brian
there,
White.
but none that were that impressive. Yeah, that's the only one. That's it. There was there's a few people that are like still diehard. There's a few people. Well, I don't know. I don't know at this point. There's still people who are still like really on the Ricardo Pepi train, I guess. That was the only one where I was like,
yeah, sure, buddy.
Sure. But like Sargent, no. Balogun, fraud. Who else is even in the mix? Haji, right? Hell no.
Terrible. Bought.
Moose for USMNT.
I'm
gonna keep pushing the All-Star one because I feel like that's actually like
no. Look, citizenship, U.S. and North Macedonian. This is on his transfer market. Pull it up. Show the chat. Show what I'm saying here. I don't know how they've qualified this. I think this is something that we're gonna have to ask.
We should ask Moose about.
We're gonna ask Moose. I'm also gonna ask my Sounders contact right now.
All right, about to show you Moose's transfer marked. As you can see, chat, this ad. Where does it say that?
Scroll down. Citizenship on the left-hand side.
I see it. That's a good shout from the Blue Skyer. Oklahoma kid, I quit X fully. I mean, I was on there for years. But we switched to Sky. It's just better, man. It actually works. And
yeah, we're pro Blue Sky over here.
Yeah, I'm pro Blue Sky.
I post on X sometimes, but barely. I don't even promo it. I just like shit post.
I think it's good for us to still have a little presence on there, but I found that Blue Sky literally serves the exact same function.
There's more Sounders fans on Blue Sky. That's
and
kind of
there's a hell of Sounders. Yeah. I think that makes it even easier because there's big Sounders presence on there, so that's all we need.
Yeah. Plus, we are bigger deals on there. You know what I mean? Like I think because like the ratio.
I have
followers
like 1/5 of the followers, but I kind of like it like that.
Yeah, like you cleaned out all the.
Yeah, it's like the people. My Blue Sky following is like the people who
they're active.
They're active and they actually they followed me like for like when we started making content and stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of my ex followers were.
A lot of your exes over there, you know.
KKR agenda. Are you asking for an update on it? Because I think if there's anyone, I mean, we were talking about earlier. I think Rothrock acquitted himself well. De La Vega acquitted himself okay, and KKR acquitted himself well.
Man of the match.
But the right back competition is nice right now. I like what's going on there. I think the emergence of KKR has actually pushed Alex. Doesn't it seem like that? Like it seems like it upped Alex's game to have like this legitimate competition. And it's like what's the really stupid cliche saying that iron sharpens iron
or something?
That's what's happening with the right back competition right now. So
two goats.
Because people were talking about how Alex's form had dipped, but I think the last the unbeaten streak before this last game. You were defending. I'll give you that one. You were defending.
I stayed defending.
You stayed defending, and that one paid off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm banking on the same thing for Jesus Ferreira.
Yeah. No, I yeah. Do you want to pull up this thing or keep reading chat? I gotta use little boys' room.
Well, okay.
Chat, don't act up without me.
Love JP, but felt so bad seeing a Sounder legend looking like that. I felt bad for I felt bad, like thinking about it today. I felt bad for the double pivot, both of them, because like I said, I think I personally underestimated the degree of difficulty on just being thrown right into a game like that after they really had not played. They hadn't started MLS matches in a while. Like, so I think when I said earlier, I should have seen that coming more. That's part of what I'm talking about is like, I think I probably could have anticipated that it would be rougher in midfield than I was thinking. I looked at the 11 and I was like, oh, the JP Danny Levy double pivot, that can function fine in an MLS game against a team that's also rotating. And then it did not pan out like that. So, but my thing was like, I don't even know how much to attribute to, like, people are saying it's like clearly shows that there's a JP decline going on. Maybe, but also maybe he hadn't started an MLS match in like 3 weeks and then was just out there with everything flying 100 miles an hour at LAFC. That's not like, I'm just saying it's not like easy circumstances. It was a more daunting task than I gave credence to. Jax206, thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, man. Reminder, Portland away, biggest game of the season. All caps. Bring the energy. I'll be there. Sounders FC, the one for me. Yeah. Come to the game. If you're on the fence, you should do it. They're really fun games. If you've never been to I imagine most of you watching and who listen to us have been to one of these derbies. But if you haven't, it's appointment viewing. Reed started for Defiance midweek. RBW cameo.
I've never been to Portland for an away game.
Who that when Stu Hawks came in immediately got bammed on.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but I thought he played well overall. He played like 5 seconds. They were already reeling.
I'm not getting on Stu Hawks whatsoever.
Didn't diminish my agenda.
Doesn't diminish the agenda at all. He like, okay, you want to talk about getting thrown into a tough situation that I was talking about with the double pivot. Stu Hawks got thrown to the goddamn wolves, dude.
No joke.
Like, honestly, like, I feel like he wasn't set up to succeed there, but at least they played him. Hopefully we get to see the agenda, and they got to find out what they have in the kid. You can't say he's too skinny forever.
Loan him to he needs to be loaned to the championship, man.
I'm tired of the too skinny. A championship where at a certain point it's like another MLS team. Like, give him a chance.
Can Prem.
Oklahoma now asking how we look without C-Roll John agenda. Missed him.
He's the best player in the world.
I said it earlier, but like how that game went absolutely underscored how integral the Christian Obed double pivot is to how this team runs.
God, we're gonna miss Obed Vargas if they sell him. Holy shit!
I don't know how you can get better at that spot.
Nope.
Moving off him, but
that's gonna be a reckoning, man. I'm not excited for that, and I don't even want to talk about it more because I don't want to think about it.
It's tough. It's tough. But I'm trying to remember that it's what he wants.
It's for him.
It's what he wants.
It's for my king.
It's what he wants. And I think when you have talent like that, you should want to, like, your mentality should be, all right, let's see how far I can take this. Like,
yeah.
Because like he's that rare type of talent where it's like when you're talking about some of the biggest leagues in the world, he actually can look at it and be like, I might be that good.
Dude will probably. Dude could play for Madrid.
Funk rates. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'm down to talk about it again. What are your guys' thoughts on this quote? LA Galaxy versus LAFC is the biggest rivalry in the MLS, and it's not even close. Just not accurate.
Okay, listen. Can I say something? This has nothing to do with MLS. Ari does not condone this comment. Any of the comments that are made here forward. Sasha Kleshchin is a great employee. We love him. Sasha, your takes are so stupid. You're a terrible broadcaster. You're so bad at what you do. I don't understand how you have a job. I have a better mustache than you. I should take your job. I don't understand what you're looking at. And of course, Mr. Red Bull would talk about, oh, dude, I can't stand that guy. I cannot stand him. I think his takes are some of the stupidest ever. LA Galaxy versus LAFC, who have played exactly 5 fucking matches. 5 fucking matches. This derby's been around since the goddamn 80s. The head coach of the Seattle Sounders played against the Portland Timbers in 1980s, back when you were allowed to smoke cigarettes on the goddamn sideline and do bumps of coke at halftime, okay? So you cannot tell me that LA Galaxy, a team invented out of nowhere in the 1990s, somehow has more history and more venom towards LAFC, a team created out of Chivas Guadalajara's rec team that folded. What are we talking about? I mean, it's ridiculous. Okay, yes, congratulations. You packed a giant stadium in LA with 2 teams that are playing in that city with 85,000 by giving away a bunch of free fucking tickets so you could have a PR hit on ESPN. Cool, dude. You're trash. You've got terrible takes. And I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. If you really think that rivalry has the most venom and is the best and isn't just a bunch of propped up star power bullshit by MLS, you have not been watching this league long enough, because every single time that Portland and the Sounders play, that is appointment goddamn television, and the league used to treat it like that, and I don't understand what this newfound disrespect is. It is so stupid. And it just further goes to show that everyone on the East Coast refuses to watch any Western Conference game, and that's why they put them at the 7:30 time slot, because they want to pretend like they're not good and they don't exist.
Woo! You were rolling there.
I need to be on Under the Lights.
You were
more,
rolling there. Yeah. See, I don't. I see it a little differently. First of all, I like Sasha and BWP and Dax on Season Pass.
I don't like any of them.
Not chilling. I like them.
I'm sure they're great. I will say I would have a drink with all of them. I'm sure they're great people. I just do not like the job that they do.
I don't.
Dax, I'm okay with, actually. I don't have smoke for Dax. He's also a podcaster, so
I don't think that you need to knock El Trafico even to say that Cascadia is the better rivalry. I think the history to it is one thing. Like, you're talking about, like you said, a rivalry that goes back to the goddamn 1970s, compared to LAFC joined the league in like 2023.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's nowhere near the history. But also, like, what are we basing the criteria on? Like, is it like the hypeness of the crowds? Because yeah, El Trafico's got some hype crowds. They're not more hype than the Cascadia games.
Yeah, you can't tell me that sold out Rose Bowl was as venomous as a Sounders Timbers playoff game.
But yeah, the thing is, like, when you have history like that, you have so many more moments and crazy games and animosity between fan bases, which the LA teams do have that. I've witnessed that. But it's not the same thing when it's been forged over decades.
Yeah.
It's not. Like, I think you have to take that into account when you're ranking these things. The new shiny thing is not always better.
No.
In fact, what came before it is often better. And in this case, like I'm not an El Trafico like hater or diminisher. I enjoy watching those games. They look great. They look like they have big crowds, great boisterous crowds, good environments. They've had some great moments as well. They had this Laton goal. They've had a few playoff games. It's a good rivalry. It's up there with the best in MLS. But like this, what I have an issue with, and I was talking about it earlier, but what I have an issue with is this like this foregone conclusion aspect of it. El Trafico is the best and it's not close. He's not the only person who's been like touting that. Like that's been like a pundit thing for a while now. And
Can I say something?
It's just wrong. It's not correct.
Here's a better rivalry. Seattle Sounders versus Toronto FC from the date ranges of 2015 to 2019.
That was a hot rivalry. Greg Vanny was also involved.
I'm sorry. If though there were more meaningful real games played between that rivalry, which forged a genuine rivalry. I mean, I don't feel it anymore, but there was genuine.
They played an
hate between
MLS
them.
Cup every year for like 6 years.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, maybe I would give it to him, but it's too. Dude, I'm sorry. Half of the fucking LAFC fans were Galaxy fans before this. There is no way that you're saying this is a real rivalry. People who were born, there are people who have legitimately been born into this rivalry and had multiple generations experience the Cascadia rivalry. Brian Schmetzer, like I'm saying, he has been able to play in the rivalry, coach the rivalry through multiple leagues. It is disrespectful. It is ignorant. It is absolutely clickbait and rage bait to even suggest this. And like, I'm sorry. I understand that that's like what they want to do over there or whatever. And they want us to talk about this type of shit. Have some goddamn respect for the people who built your league. All right. I'm sorry. I'm done with it, man. I'm done with it. And also saying this on the heels of what is going to be one of the stupidest El Traficos ever. You have the worst team in the goddamn league that's ever played in ever versus.
It's not. It's going to be very stupid probably, but it will be not stupid if the Galaxy win.
Yeah, but that's like so.
It will still be pretty stupid.
It's all dumb. Portland and Seattle are two better teams if you were to average the two out, right? Like, it's just be so fucking for real. Be so for real with me, Ari. Be so for real.
And like, I think we should point out that it's part of our frustration, or at least for me, it's like this is like a widespread take. Like it is not just Sasha who's like said that. This goes back the last like 2-3 years. Every time rivalry week comes up, everywhere I read about how it's El Trafico runs it. It does.
Bro, did you know Gareth Bale is going to play in El Trafico, bro? Did you know that Gareth Bale, former Borussia Dortmund guy, going to play against Denny Bawanga in El Trafico, bro? Crazy. Put that one on MLS Sunday Night Soccer, brought to you by Apple TV Continental Tires. It's free for Apple members. It's like, bro, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Look at, like, shut up. Stupid. Hate it. I
think this might be your least favorite take of all time.
Listen, I already don't like Sasha's takes generally. I think that I understand his character. Okay, let me say that. I understand his character. He's playing a role. He's doing the same thing that Taylor Twellman did when he was first trying to break into the league. He was being this brash and, I'm smarter than everyone. I played kind of guy. And guess what? Everyone fucking hated Taylor Twellman, and they still kind of do. But you know what happened to Taylor? I feel like Taylor has mediated a lot. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is my worst take, but I feel like he has calmed down quite a bit.
He's very like respected as a
like he's a respectable pundit now. But it's like, do not do this, Sasha. You are embarrassing yourself, and this is an embarrassment to your legacy by saying this.
Hell yeah,
yeah. And you know what, Sasha? Listen. You've had many people chirp you before, including Ricky Pooch, who put a goddamn trophy on your ass after you called him a bum.
Ricky Pooch did bam on him pretty good.
Come bam on me, man. Come on our show. Come tell me why I'm wrong, and come tell me that you could beat me in soccer, because you probably could, but that's okay.
One of the best assist men in the
we were both buddy. We were both assist merchants. Okay, I just did it at a shittier level.
He's like the ultimate. He had like a 20 assister one year. Jax 206, thanks again for another $2 super chat. Can I call y'all in case it kicks off on Saturday?
What are you trying to get us to fight with you, brother? I weigh 125 pounds, soaking wet. You really want me to jump in this fight?
What do you mean, Jax? I'm not sure what you mean.
We don't fight. We've got content to make. Yeah.
Oh,
Here.
well, speaking of that, should we do our Galaxy?
Yeah,
content?
let's read this last one here from Eric, and then
This
we'll
one?
jump
Okay.
off it.
Do they really get that much money from rivalry week? Why can't we just have rivalries like every week rather than Galaxy versus Club of Professional Wrestling Enthusiasts?
I mean, I think that it does increase attendance. It increases, viewership. I remember when they used to broadcast on Fox and they did the Fox rivalry week. Like if you looked at the viewership numbers, it was like double, if not triple. That's the thing too. I wish that Apple TV would release the numbers, because I promise you, Seattle Portland will beat out LAFC LA Galaxy. That's my take.
Even if it doesn't, I don't care.
But I'm just saying, I think if you ask the general MLS fan what rivalry is more important, they're gonna say Portland and Seattle, right?
One thing that I do know is that more than any other matchup between two teams in MLS, when Seattle and Portland are playing each other, other fan bases are tuning into that.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing about El Tráfico. Like I'm always going to tune into El Tráfico.
Hell is Real, I like to watch.
Like Hell is Real, I like to watch. It's not like
I like the
it's
new
like it's not
Sporting
that there's
and-
not other good rivalries, but like everyone is watching Seattle Portland, like for a fact.
On a personal level, I like Sporting versus St. Louis better than I like El Tráfico, because it's two of the dumbest teams having a knife fight. It's like they're having a mid-off every time, and it's so funny. It's so funny. That's there's real hate there. There's real hate there. You can feel it.
It's like the rest of the league has forgotten about the passion that exists in Cascadia. We have to listen to the league glaze up fan bases like Charlotte, Cincy, LA, and Miami. I think like what is really going on with it, if we're trying to diagnose, is that like the new thing is the more exciting thing to the public at large.
It goes in cycles.
But like the thing that's been there, done that, doesn't get as much traction, maybe
there was a
hype
point.
But like even as recently, man, like as recently as the Dempsey days, right? Like Cascadia was considered the bar none best rivalry in the league, as it still should be.
Yeah.
I like maybe there's some narrative that it's like fallen off. If there was any reason it fell off at all, it was because the Timbies were goddamn winning every one of them.
Sure.
So maybe that's.
But the Galaxy have won a shitload of El Tráficos, right? I thought that was the whole thing, was like Galaxies could be terrible and they were just bamming.
They did it. That was the story at first. Feel like LAFC is kind of even that out, but
yeah, I think too, one of the things is like it goes in cycles. It really does. For the longest time, the league was glazing this rivalry. Like they did documentaries about it. They sent out Copa 90 to it. Like it was the talk of the town, like far and away. And it was one of those things where there was so much success behind it. They created rivalry week, and they created these like, okay, we need to start milking this as much as possible. We need to make sure they play 5 times a year. And then it got really fucking annoying. So I think that there is a good balance. I just want some respect put on this rivalry, because like I'm sitting here disrespecting LA, but it's like, I still, like you said, that's still appointment television for me, but like you cannot discount. It's disrespectful and stupid and ignorant to discount that, especially as someone who is supposed to be an MLS pundit. Like that's what you're supposed to do.
And this is also, I think you were right earlier. Like this is the least hype El Tráfico ever. The Galaxy literally haven't won a game.
No,
they still haven't. They are sitting on a goose egg. This is actually a good segue into I think the last thing we were gonna do tonight before we wrapped it up is we're gonna talk some LA Galaxy because the LA Galaxy are still goose egging. They have no wins. They're off to not just the worst start for defending MLS Cup champion ever. They're off to the worst start that like no one has ever been winless this long. It is hard to be winless for this long, and people are asking questions. They have been asking questions. Like, how is it you just won MLS Cup? How is it possible that you're this bad? So, but before we get to the Will Kuntz thing, though, I've been watching. Like, we did Greg Vanny on Blazing Hot Presser like a couple shows ago, and then I've been watching all his pressers after their losses, and this last loss at Philly was one of the best ones yet. They actually went up 2-0.
Yeah.
At Philly.
Yeah.
At Philly.
Yep.
They were the road team at Subi Park against the Philly Union. And they went up 2-0. Marco Royce, who hasn't done shit all year.
2 assists.
You guys think that it was his first 2 assists of his MLS career?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
You guys think Ferreira has been a bust with it?
Jesus Ferreira is better than Marco Royce agenda.
At least he's got 7 assists. I mean, that's something. Marco Royce just got his first 2, but he had the Galaxy up 2-0 at Philly. And it's funny because we were talking on the editorial desk. Like the senior editors were like, oh, well, if the Galaxy win this, we're going to have to write the Galaxy get their first win story for the post-game content. And I literally said, no, we're not. Like, we're not going to have to write that. Just
don't worry.
If you guys
it.
watch the Galaxy this year, we're not going to have to write that. Like, there's no way. Even with them up to, usually, like, we can start talking about angles when a team has a multi-goal lead, and we're like, all right, this might be final. This might be how it goes. So if that's what happens, this is how we should tackle it. So they were doing that, and I was trying to say, I was like, they're not going to hold this lead. 0% chance. I'm just as confident about this as I am when I say it about the Chicago Fire. Like, you can, when a team has that Chicago Fire in them, like this Galaxy team does, you can tell, you can feel it. Like, you can feel that they're not keeping the lead. And needless to say, they did not. They gave the lead away and then got bammed on in like the 88th or the 92nd or so. It was like at the very end, and they lost 3-2 to move their record to like what is their exact record?
I think they
have to
3 ties, no wins.
It's like
because they have 3 points, right?
Are they 0-10-3 or 0-9-3?
I think it's 0-10
They have 3 points.
Yeah, they have 3 points regardless.
They are 0-10-3. Double-digit losses. 0-10-3. A cool little 0.23.
Lost a game without conceding a shot.
0.2 and somehow lost a game without conceding a shot. So anyway, like we all know, they're like it's one of the stories of the league right now how bad they are. I've been watching the Vanny pressers, and my take on the Vanny pressers after watching the last few of them after these losses, he's talking too much. Like,
yeah, he is yapping a lot.
Like they're asking him in the pressers, like, you know, what happened in this game, and he's going like so deep.
He goes 2K words.
He goes 2K words.
Yeah.
He goes so deep into the fine points of it, and he's like, well, if you look what happened between the 42nd and the 58th minute with their center backs, we tried lining it up like this to take advantage of this matchup. But then if you see how the Philly Union do this, and this, that kind of counteracted how we were doing this, and this, and then that got all out of whack. So then they scored this goal, and then that was the one that made it 2-1. So we got a little rattled from there, but I was pleased with the response. But then their defensive midfield was able to do this, and this to this. It's like, dude, like when you're in a run like this, like the fine points don't even matter.
Just don't say shit.
Literally, just be like,
embarrassed. Just be like, I'm embarrassed.
Like literally all you have to say is like, we're shit. We're shit right now. Which, to be fair, he did say that.
He did say that. He said
he did say
we put up a stinker.
He literally
put up a shitter. I think he said we put up a shitter. Yeah.
But like he's just like droning on about like the intricacies of why they're taking every L, and it just like it doesn't matter. Like when you're 0-10-3, like you're digging the hole deeper by trying to explain it.
Yeah.
And like, not only is he going too deep into what's happening in the games, but he's also doing the like, well, all 3 of our DPs are hurt. So what do you want from me?
And he's been like, oh, well, you know, the team's been good, actually. He hit a dude. The team's been good, actually. Like, or we've had chances.
So because I was watching the one after the 7-0 against the Red Bulls, and I was like, what's he going to say? And he's like, well, This is the first one that got away from us. Most of these games we've been competitive.
that was what it was.
We've been competitive in most of these games. This one was just like one that you throw in the bin. But like for the it's like, no, man, no. You're gonna get. I mean, he's probably gonna get fired anyway. But like,
that's crazy. It's because I feel like it's not his fault.
I always think of it of like, how would I handle it if I was the coach? Like the just like talking way too much about what happened in the game. I don't think that's the way you handle a situation like this. I think you just like take your medicine and
you click that motherfucking pen, buddy.
You do the opposite of try to. You can explain it to an extent. He's just going 2K words and it's way too much.
No, I think he just should do the classic coach thing of be like, we were bad. Next. You know, Greg, do you have an opening statement? Nope. Next question.
It's tough. I don't really know if there's like a right way to handle being 0-10-3.
I think you don't. You just act visibly upset. He's not acting visibly upset. He's just like, yeah, okay.
He seems upset, but he seems defensive.
Yeah, like, he doesn't seem to own it. He doesn't. It doesn't. I feel like it doesn't feel real to him.
Like in his mind, he's like, man, like we're a few bounces away from like not being that bad.
But
and
I understand
these
why.
Reporters and these fans just don't know ball. So like,
I understand why, because you go and watch this interview that we're about to watch, and you have the general manager of your team gallivanting around the United States of America, being like, yeah, well, you know, we sold our soul to the devil for last season, but that happened.
So yeah, that brings us to Will Kuntz, LA Galaxy GM, who, so Vanny is doing all that at the pressers. Meanwhile, they sent Will Kuntz
on a PR tour,
on a media tour.
What?
On a media, like,
which is confirmed, by the way, because the Cooligans said that the LA Galaxy PR reached out to them to set this up.
And that doesn't surprise me to hear that, because I think it felt like a strategic, like, all right, we're down bad right now. Like, something that we can do to help the situation would be to have the like air of transparency. Like, we're gonna own it, right? We're gonna talk about it. We're not gonna hide from it. Like Atlanta United. Have you heard from Garth in months?
Where's Garth?
Where is he?
They're hiding him.
Where's the Garth and Chris duo? They're like taking the approach, honestly, that I think
that's what I would do.
That's what I would do.
My goddamn face.
That's what I would do. I wouldn't do what they did, which is send the GM onto the Cooligans, which is a comedy podcast.
Not yet.
And then the Landon Donovan, Tim Howard show. I haven't even watched that one. We're gonna watch the Cooligans.
Also, first of all, we're a Galaxy podcast, Galaxy PR. We went to the Galaxy game. You know who we are. I know you know who we are. And third of all, our email's on the damn podcast. Like, how did we not get the PR call?
We would have taken the Will Kuntz interview.
Dude, us and Kuntz could have kicked it, bro. I'm just saying.
I think he would have enjoyed it. But anyway,
you could have been an under the lights participant.
Will Kuntz did like a goddamn hour-long hit on the Cooligans, and he talks. He
talks more about the Knicks, by the way, than actually like.
They ask him. They're like, what's going on with the Galaxy, and he gives his reasoning, which I was legitimately curious to hear what he had to say, which is why we're gonna play it and react to it. But I think another lens to watch this through is just the strategy, right? The PR strategy of like, all right, we're in this situation. We just won MLS Cup. Now we're 0-10-3. Pretty unprecedented. How should we handle it? Should we Garth and Chris it, hide away, not talk to anybody, pretend it's not happening? Or should we send him on a press tour? There's not a lot of good answers.
No.
They chose the press tour option. And
I love that the Cooligans too are clip farming the shit out of this man. Like, they have been. Dude, the thumb. Wait, show the thumb. Show the thumb. Wait, yo, the thumb is crazy.
Look at this.
The thumb is crazy, bro. The thumb is crazy, bro. Look at his face.
It's on him. Do you think he saw that and was like, guys, come on,
bro? They must have, right? Dude, that's crazy work. Cooligans, bro.
Cooligans.
You know who was on the Cooligans? Travis Helwig.
Hell yeah.
He has a whole bit.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
He's a comedy writer.
He's a comedian.
Happy Foot, Sad Foot.
Yeah.
Co-host Travis Helwig. God, they really. Podcast. I feel like them getting this interview should have been on the condition of not doing him with a thumb like that.
Dude, that's so
the
good,
facial
bro.
expression. Like that's like a thumb you would make.
Bro, that's some shit I would make. Like what? What are they doing?
Anyway, it is an hour long, so we are absolutely not going to watch all of it. But I found a starting point that I thought was like sort of the money answer, where he's talking about kind of what's gone wrong with the Galaxy this year. So we're going to watch that segment of it. I have it pulled up right here. And then we're going to give no, you haven't seen this yet, have you?
Oh no, I watched it.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah, I watched the
Okay.
whole thing, bro. When that's dropped.
Yeah.
See, okay, one thing that Chad probably doesn't know about me, I'm on all of our competitors. I watch all of them. I view watch them. I'm pocket watching like crazy on the Cooligans, and I will say, this was a good ad.
I like the Cooligans. I
love them.
I hung out with them. They probably don't even remember, but they had an event, MLS Cup 2019, and what happened was they booked their event.
Oh, I remember.
They booked their event for a brewery on Capitol Hill, where we are right now, and it was like way too small, and them and like 100 soccer journos in like MLS Cup media got basically kicked out. And literally everyone was I was the only one who lived there. I was like hosting everyone basically. And they all just turned to me and they're like, do you know where we can go with this many people? And I went, I know exactly where to go. And I took them all to Rhinehouse.
Yeah.
And it was so sick.
Yes.
Because I was like the hero, because they were like, this is perfect. This has room for everyone. I was like, yeah, see?
You're like, damn right it does. You should have called me in the beginning.
That's just me thinking on my feet right there, Cooligans.
Yeah.
But like I said, there were so many people there. I don't know if they actually know that it was me who did that.
Yeah.
But
Well, Cooligans, you should come out here for the Club World Cup and get on the pod because we want to farm you for a goddamn
we should
thumbnail, brother.
probably collab with them. But anyway, this is a little segment of their interview with LA Galaxy GM Will Kuntz. Gonna play a little bit of it, maybe a couple minutes of it, and then we're gonna give our
I may
takes.
ask you to pause.
Yeah, if you want to pause
Okay,
and then
yeah,
riff,
yeah,
we can do
yeah,
that.
okay.
All right.
Meeting salary cap issues and stuff like that. Less and
this was a guy. We got some garlic, right? So
Okay, good.
I'm not above it, right? Live chickens.
Yeah,
on
get
the
it up.
whatever
Yeah,
it
hold up,
takes.
pause, sorry.
there's no bad ideas,
There's-
right?
I'm sure we can find it. He does throw shots at Garth in this podcast at one point, which was crazy.
It goes deep. I mean, they go. I guess used to work at the league office, then got in as an executive. Knows Garth somehow. I don't know.
I don't know.
They're all in the
Yeah.
same little world.
They're in
but-
a WhatsApp group.
So he's on here.
Brainstorming.
Thanks.
Put in the comments what you think the LA Galaxy should do.
We've been talking about this especially since the season started, and after 3-4 games, we're like, what is going on with LA? And everybody has their theories, and then obviously the conversations about the roster rules in MLS and players that you had to get rid of and meeting salary cap issues and stuff like that. So let's just get it from the horse's mouth,
Right.
because we're sort of speculating. I'm like texting Tom Boger. I'm like, yo, what's up with this?
I'm
TV.
texting Don Garber, and he's saying this is your mother, not Don Garber. You know what I mean?
So obviously, you had to get rid of, or I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the players that
left.
that
Yeah.
are obviously notable.
Look at this. He's got the pink
Gaston
notepad, bro.
Jovic, Marky Delgado. This is you win MLS Cup, and then a couple days later, you're like, oh, we got to get rid of these guys.
Yeah.
So why? and obviously, I'm sure there's contract issues. Players want to have control of their own lives, so there's a lot going on. But in general, the theory we have is that, or what we were told was that the MLS Cup bonuses affect the salary cap in the next season, so that's why you have to keep the salary cap down.
And maybe
for the
there's
next season.
also other roster machinations that stop you.
But from a
keeping-
GM, what were the challenges right after winning that MLS Cup in terms
They're
of the
really
roster?
hard
Yeah,
hitting.
this is good because we can put everybody to sleep hearing me talk about
Yeah,
the
yeah,
league
yeah.
rules, right? I mean,
We got
I've met our fans.
we got
Yes.
MLS sickos.
Yeah, yeah,
Listen.
look, it's a long sort of drawn out answer, but the short answer is we were about $2.5 million over the cap
Pause.
with
pause,
the same roster going.
That's crazy.
Let's start right there.
That's crazy. How does he have a job?
Because they won MLS Cup off it. That's why.
That's crazy. $2 million over the cap?
Like, how does that? Like, he explains how it happened. I guess, but like, that's not. It's not good.
your entire job as a general man. Also, in the lead up to this, he talks about obviously that he worked for the league, and so he knows the ins and outs of all the crazy mechanisms and all of that. How in the world, bro? How in the world do you know about all this? Know for a fact that the cap is going to hit the next season for your bonuses, and then structure your roster like that? How do you have a job?
Because it was all designed to sell out for the ring. That's why.
But like, you gotta know that's silly.
It's not silly because it's like about getting the ring at all costs. I can understand that logic. I can a lot. Like, it's not like there's sports where we've seen teams do that. Like the fucking the Rams did that a couple years ago. They like went all in for the one ring and then had to take a step back. That's what the Galaxy were doing. But I think I mean, we're gonna get into deeper into his answers, but like there's ways to sell out for the ring and not end up $2 million over the cap.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, the bottom line is that they sold out for the ring and they got it, which that's more power to them.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't have been at this steep of a price. There's no way, man. 10-3. Like, there's no way that they should have been in a situation where they would tank like this. I just really don't think so.
Yeah. No, you can play her again. You just hit this.
This one?
Yeah, when we yap, let's go back to that for the video,
Okay.
because I want to get this in an edit because this is going to be too good of content.
All right, sick.
Going into the offseason, right? And there's things like guys like Gabriel Peck and Dejan Joveljic, just because they turned 1 year older, they each became $500,000 more expensive on the cap, right? And
okay, pause. Sorry, gotta pause again. I gotta pause again. That's my problem too, bro. You knew that these two players were gonna do another $1 million combined, right? Against the cap, and you're like, nah, it's really a sellout. It just seems so dumb to me to do that and to think in some world you were going to be competitive in the next year and that you were going to have a job, because sports is such a what have you done for me lately thing, right? Like, I understand that the ring is so important, but it's like, if you win the ring and then you tank the next season, people don't give a shit about the ring.
So I don't think that's true. I think that most fans, if you told them that they would get a ring, but then the next season they would take a step back or miss the playoffs, it's a trade-off that a lot of fans would happily make. The Sounders made a very similar calculation with Champions League.
There were fans that said they were like, I would trade Champions League
for making the MLS.
I was like,
playoffs.
all right, bro, shut up.
No one, but so like I can honestly get behind that if your objective is to sell out for the ring and then you actually get it, which they did. But when you do that and then you are this bad, I don't know if I've ever like the Rams example. They went like 7-9 or something. Like, if the Galaxy were even averaging like 1.1 points per game right now, it would still be a big step back. Their fans would probably still be pissed, but like Will Kuntz and Greg Vanny's jobs wouldn't even be a second thought. People would be like, they just won a ship last year. It's not as good right now, but they clearly can be trusted to like build a championship team. And it makes sense, like some of what happened with the cap, because we sold out for the ring. So, like, I don't think their job security would be under scrutiny whatsoever if they were even between like 1.0 and 1.3 points per game. Well, I really don't. But like, the problem is they're playing at historically 0.23 points.
But it's also
they are pushing the limits.
Yeah, they're not even. Yeah, like in what Eric says here. He says, who could have predicted the players would have a birthday? Exactly. That's my problem, is like, it is your task as a GM. Absolutely. I get it. You sold out for the ring. That's your strategy. Your next step as a general manager of a professional sports organization is to go, okay, this is what we're going to do this year. We're settled on this. We're sold on this. My entire job is now to figure out what comes next, because you understand that you've built in all these bonuses, you've built in all this stuff. He has the spreadsheet. He knows what it's going to look like in the next year. It's how do we figure this out, keep the core of these players together, or figure out how to make this work next season. They didn't do that. They didn't do that till the end of the season. Then they panic sold everyone. They were doing like delayed loan repayments by getting Gam and Tam from random teams for like all of their, like random international spots and shit like that. That's my question, I guess, to Will Kuntz is like, I understand, I guess, the methodology, and congratulations on winning the cup. You had one of the most fun to watch teams as well.
Great team
in the league. And yet, like, were you betting that they were going to raise the salary cap this year? Because they did vote down potentially raising it up even higher. So like maybe they were hedging their bets on that. And even so, why have you not season-ending injured Ricky Puig? Because you could have essentially kept your entire roster together by season-ending injured Ricky Puig. Your salary
They're
cap,
banking on him getting back and saving the day,
stupid.
but it's way too late
it's
now.
So dumb.
That was the wrong gamble. That was
a terrible gamble. You could have season-ending injured and kept your entire team together, and you need to think about that. So, but maybe he talks about that here, and we can jump.
Eric,
in.
I think the cap. I thought it was more like 16 or 20 or something.
I thought it was closer to 22, but not 22. But
I think it's
20
I
as
think
well.
it's quite a bit higher than 12.
Yeah,
But like
it's also with DP spots it could be whatever.
All right. Yeah, let's keep watching because there's a truly crazy part of this.
I'll be quiet.
Pushed our chips into the table a little bit last year when we went for Marco, right? We knew that it was going to maybe put us in a difficult spot,
yeah.
but we're so close. We got to do whatever we can to increase our odds to win a championship.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no. Okay, that's what I was
gonna.
gonna. Let me start this one.
Yeah.
This is the part where. Why did they sign Marco Royce?
Why did they sign Marco Royce?
So he's saying it like they did it to drastically or like to increase their odds of winning it that year. Did that even do that?
No.
He didn't. Was he like a big contributor to their playoff run? Not to my memory.
Nope.
He hasn't done anything really in.
He was injured.
I just they probably win that ship without Marco Royce, and that's the one of this, like the whole philosophy of selling out for the ring. I get it. Like that makes sense to me. This is where I'm like,
that's the Icarus moment.
You didn't need to do that.
No.
And that is a huge reason that you're in this situation right now.
You could say the whole reason.
A big part of it, man, is that we've theorized a lot about what's happening to them. And after watching this interview, I think if there's one place that they went really wrong, it's this right here, because it didn't increase their odds of winning the championship. They probably would have done it anyway. It put them like egregiously against the cap to the point where look at what's happened to them now. And Marco Royce, his assists that he got against Philly in another game that they lost, those were his first 2 MLS assists. He hasn't really done anything in MLS.
Yeah.
Why did they do that?
Here, this goes to my narrative that I don't think Will Kuntz is good at his job. I really don't. I don't understand how, as a general manager, you look at your table and you're like, okay, we're really pushing this cap already. We're already probably the best team in the league. We're playing really well together. And then this opportunity comes up to get what is essentially a jersey sales name when you're already selling out your stadium because you have Ricky Puig, who is an amazing player and a jersey salesman. It's so baffling to me that he took a bite of the apple in the Garden of Eden, Ari, because immediately it drained the life from him and this team. What a stupid, dumb transfer. And obviously hindsight is 2020, but I think even when they made that move, I was a little bit confused. I was like, I mean, cool, I guess it's Marco Royce, but like,
I think I kind of bought into the like, oh Jesus, like this super loaded team got even more loaded because I mean Marco Royce was a great player in the Bundesliga, but
we weren't aware of their salary cap position at that point.
No,
And
exactly.
And I think
if I had known it was going to put them like this, I would have been like, Will, don't stop, please. No.
That's what I'm saying. It's
don't
like,
do
how do you not sit there and
But
say,
then, so-
okay, I know if we win MLS Cup, right? You always need to be in that mindset because you got to look at the potentials. People have got on the Sounders GM on Craig for the escalators in Morris's contract hitting because they didn't expect him to play at the 9, right? You have to expect that these things might potentially happen and have a game plan for them. The Sounders did, okay? They did have a game plan when this happened. Maybe it changed things up in the way that they approached stuff and they didn't make a big signing at the 9, but that's what it was, right? That's what it was. Will Kuntz said, fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Why not? And I'm sorry. You are in a league with too much parity to say that. And you should know that. And it pins me in a place where I feel like he's just trying to make this name for himself. And he's trying to be the guy who's like, I'm smarter than the cap. I'm smarter than all this. You actually just don't have to worry about business and all of this stuff. And it's like, I'm sorry, people talk shit about Craig Weibel. Yeah, you know what? He doesn't have a ring yet. You're right. He doesn't have anything yet. But Will Kuntz has 1 ring and a nightmare of a roster. I would much rather have no rings and a consistently successful competitive roster than that. Because over the long haul, the Galaxy don't want to go back to being what they were. They boycotted and fought against the front office and another inept GM before this. And I feel like in some ways, they're just getting the same thing in a different flavor.
It brings up an interesting question of so say Seattle was in this situation and someone told you,
yeah,
you can have another MLS Cup, but the next season you are going to be at 0.23 points per game for the first 12 games. And like, that's what we know right now. Like, we don't even know how bad it's going to get, but let's just say that 0.23 is like what they play at this year. If someone told you Seattle could have another MLS Cup, but the next season you're going to play at 0.23, I don't think I would take that.
No.
I don't think I could handle.
Also, it didn't have to be like that. That's my problem with it, is like this dichotomy of this or that. It doesn't have to be that.
Right. It never
had to be that.
It's a false choice, but like, if you did have to make the choice, like I was saying, like if you make that points per game, like 1.2, I do take that. I think.
We literally said that last season was successful, and we just made the Western Conference final. And it felt successful. I felt like last season was fun, and then, enjoyable, and a good season.
You can have the cup, but the team's going to play at 0.23,
no.
Or you don't have the cup, and the team is just as good as it pretty much always is, and you don't have the cup that year, but you have a reasonable shot at trophies going into the next year. Like I'd take the latter.
My problem is consistency in sports is more important than anything.
Because it's bites at the apple. That's what you're trying.
It is.
Like, you're not gonna win every trophy every year, but it's all about like putting yourself in the position as many times as possible to do so. And if you put yourself in those situations over and over and over and over again, the odds that you're going to break through and win a couple are drastically higher.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Seattle's done well at. Have they won every MLS Cup they've been to? No, but they went to 4 and they were able to pick off 2.
They won a Champions Cup.
Have they won Champions League every year they've been in it? Famously, no. But they took that shit seriously. They grinded it. They played in that tournament for years. They gave themselves like bite after bite after bite after bite at the apple, and eventually they broke through. In this situation, you're sacrificing the bites.
Like, you went from a Galaxy team that, like I said, kicked out their president, kicked out their coach, was like,
they have to do that again, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you. I think Will Kuntz even said, he's like, oh, I wish I would have known who would have made a deal with the devil, so I would have been able to prepare for this. It's like, you made a deal with the devil. You did. You constructed this roster. What are you talking about?
But so, okay, like, on the topic of like him being bad at his job,
I think he's terrible at his job.
Well, but okay, I'm just devil's advocating.
Sure.
Don't you also have to acknowledge that he helped build the team last year that was insanely good?
Ricky Puig came before him.
Did he?
Pretty sure, right? Will Kuntz hasn't been there that long. And I think Ricky Puig signed before that. because Puig has been there. He's on his second contract now. Like, maybe I'm wrong here. This is Fact Check Nation.
20
came after Ricky Puig.
What about
They made
what
the
about
addition to-
Joey Paints and
Okay.
Gabriel Peck?
Absolutely, but that was after 2 seasons of seeing, okay, this is a serviceable team, but we need these specific pieces. Okay, awesome. We're going to go out and get those 2 pieces. Yes. Joveljic, Peck, Paintsill, great signings.
I thought of
Absolutely
him
give
as
it
a
to 'em.
good GM before
That's
this
great.
because of all that.
But my problem is you can make good signings and still be a bad GM. And that's my
Because
problem.
a lot of the job is cap management.
That's what I'm saying. You're in a salary cap league, and it's so dumb and ignorant when you know what your fans just went through. You know that all that they want is to feel sustainable and successful because they just went through the roller coaster ride of being a terrible team. Didn't they spoon? They spooned before, right? Or they were close to spooning at least.
They were
in another-
they were
in a
incredibly
post-year.
bad. I mean, they were bad enough that there was like fan protests going
Yeah,
on.
and I'm sorry, like now you're back to that level, and you wanna go, oh well, we won you the cup though. I don't think fans wanted to sell everything.
I think that would fly if they were not at 0.23.
That's what I'm saying.
Man. That is
That's what I'm
just
saying.
crazy.
it
like,
just
like they actually could have gotten away with this like optically.
yeah.
They could have, but they botched it so bad that now they literally they haven't won a game yet.
How do you know?
How do you have you not won a game?
Yeah.
CF Montreal has won a game. Oh my bad.
Yeah, you're good.
It was going to be difficult, and it's math, right? It's not like this was a surprise. You do get
Dumbass.
your bonuses that were achieved hit, against your salary budget number the next year. So, because we had a lot of guys who did everything, that's a real thing. And then when you have to re-sign somebody like Maya Yoshida, even if we put new bonuses into his contract, they are still counted as having been triggered because he played like every single minute last year, and we won all the playoff games.
Wow.
That. So
Re-sign
you're up against it. But I think the real issue is because I'm not making excuses. There have been other teams that every team that wins goes up against this. In MLS, the way the rules are structured, if you're going to lose a DP like Ricky, and if you're going to have a guy like Marco, your highest TAM player, dealing with a bulky knee, then it becomes really difficult to compete, right? When you lose a DP and you're dealing with injuries to whether it's a DP.
Okay. Difficult to compete. Okay.
There's
Difficult
literally
to,
mechanisms,
but difficult to not difficult to compete for trophies.
yeah,
Okay.
sure, yeah, agreed,
Okay.
agreed.
Difficult to not rock 0.23 points per game. That's I think maybe where I diverge.
I agree. Like also there are roster mechanisms for long-term injured players, including including season-ending injuries, and whether or not the player likes that or not, that's your job to sell him on that if it's best for the team. And I'm sorry, that's the truth. Like that is the truth. To pretend like, oh, it's because we have a really high TAM player who's injured all the time and it's just dog shit, and also like we have Ricky Puig who's injured. That's why we're bad. It's like, okay, well it's dumb to ignore that there are possibilities to work within that.
I think when you boil it down, I think probably the biggest thing is the Royce thing.
So dumb.
I just don't know what they were.
Icarus, bro. Icarus.
They Icarus on that one, and then banking on being able to stay afloat, and then Ricky Puig to come back and save it. That was clearly the wrong gamble.
Oh for 2.
Let's give
Get
give
this
Will
guy
a
in a
few
casino,
minutes,
bro.
another
Okay,
couple
I'm turning
minutes.
the mic off.
or high salary TAM guy.
Yeah.
The hardest thing to do in MLS is have depth, right? And you're getting tested at positions that you just cannot possibly replace. And so, when you go back and you're like, look at every MLS Cup winner of the last 10 years and be like, all right, next year, take out their best DP, right? And take out their highest non-DP in terms of salary and see what that roster looks like, right? That's where the league rules really hurt us. Like we can't, you have to be kind of fortunate in who gets hurt and when they get hurt. And there's no doubt that losing Ricky's, it's like taking, I was going to say it's like taking Steph Curry off the Warriors, but he came out the other night and they won, right? So maybe it's like taking Jokic, it's taking Jalen Brunson off the Knicks, right? Yeah. And that's it's a little guy who's the engine of the team, but and there are reasons why the league rules are the way they are, but it's impossible for teams to have replacements for great players, and so you're last year we were really fortunate that we got a ton of minutes in production from our 3 DPs. This year we haven't even had one yet, and Joe Payne still missed a lot of time. And Gabe and Joe both got hurt on Kansas City again. Like, what else can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
But that's the reality. For me, that's the thing about this league that makes it the hardest, right? If you have the wrong injury, you just kind of toast, because in any other league in the world, you have a backup where you can go get somebody. Here, you're kind of handcuffed, right? And then, in the case of a guy like Dejan Joveljic, we're like, all right, maybe we can give him, a TAM deal and keep him. And, we're negotiating, and we think we can get there. And then Tigres comes and is like, bro, we'll triple your salary. And you're like, that's kind of tough. And then Kansas City's like, we'll quadruple your salary. And you're like, all right, man, well, good for you. Get the bag and go. But because we have 3 guys already making that money, like I can't possibly pay Dejan what he would need to earn, or what he can earn somewhere else. And he's got a baby on the way. And look, $4 million goes a lot further, or $3 million goes a lot further in Kansas City than it does in LA. And
For sure.
and I get that, right? So again, that's kind of the reality of our league. It's a problem of having success and having guys who produce. So it's a good problem to have. But it definitely makes it tough. And you only have 5 weeks between MLS Cup and the start of the preseason, right? So we're up against it. We're trying to do all this stuff. We just found out we don't have Ricky for the year, basically, or for most of the year in late November, right? So you're now trying to figure out, how do we do this without Ricky? Everything we've been doing was obviously having Ricky in the mix. And then, the question is, do we go away from having Ricky, right? Do we go away from our plan just for a 2025 plan, or a first half of 2025 plan? Or do we keep the overall plan in place and put together a roster that we think is going to be best when we're healthy?
Yeah. Oh God.
I would hate if my GM got on a goddamn podcast about the New York Knicks and said that it is impossible. I would be calling for his firing the next day, because I don't ever want to hear that it's impossible.
It's not
man.
impossible.
It's not impossible. You are being obtuse and like very weirdly dismissive.
Well, so Greg Vandy's been like leaning on the injuries a lot too. Like the big line, I think Will Kuntz just said it there, but like take any DP off any team and you're basically chalked.
Mm-hmm.
Not the ones that are run well.
No.
Look at all.
Sounders.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle's one example, but
Last year,
we're homers, so you can use any example you want. Who are the best teams in the league right now? Columbus Crew, Inter Miami.
I'm sorry, Vancouver Whitecaps, who haven't had one of their most important starters of the whole entire season, and then have not only had that, have had more schedule congestion than anyone else in the league, and have been banking on random young guys. I'm sorry, guess who's getting it done in all of those games? You don't think that you don't have as much talent, but you just won the cup?
Like, if what he was saying was true, then Ryan Gauld being taken out of Vancouver should have chalked them, right?
Yeah.
Logically.
Yeah.
Like,
well, even like I'm saying, Raul Diaz not performing. He's your highest paid player on the team, and he was sitting on the bench. It's just ridiculous. It is absurd to me that this guy is a general manager in this league. And you're saying it's impossible? What? That's crazy. There are multiple examples that we can pull off our head in the last 2 years. We're not even talking about and he's saying, and also Marco Royce isn't doing anything. Okay, well, that's your fault.
Yeah, whose fault?
That's not Marco Royce's
that?
fault. That's your fault, bro. You made that signing.
I just after listening to that interview, my biggest takeaway was, did you sign Marco Royce?
Yeah.
Why?
And why in the hell did you go on a podcast, bro?
Well, so yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the whole
the optics,
the strategy of sending him out for the media tour. So I imagine what they were thinking is what I was saying, we don't want the perception that we are hiding from what's happening.
Yeah.
So it'll there's no good course of action in this scenario when you're 0-10-3. How should we handle being 0-10-3? In
fact, there's no precedent for how to handle it. And
there's literally not. They're the first team to ever do that, not win any of their first 13 games. You know what should be impossible in Major League Soccer? That.
Yeah, literally. This is a league where that is supposed to be not
that is literally they're the rules are there to specifically make exactly that impossible.
Yeah.
The whole point of a parity-driven league is so this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. That's the idea.
Is that maybe they could be mid-table, but you're not going to see a significant drop off from year to year.
Or even if you do, it won't be like the bottom
Yeah.
falling out at a historic level.
Yeah.
But here's my take. I don't mind the premise of like getting out in front of it, so to speak, or like we're gonna try and make it optically look like we're not hiding from what's happening. But like the podcast tour, I don't like. You know what I would have done, man?
Yeah.
I would have hit up fucking Kevin Baxter,
Yeah.
LA Times.
Yes.
And I would have been like, Kevin, we'll give you the GM for like an exclusive so we can get like our side of the cap thing on the record. And also as like a show of transparency that we know the fans are upset and that we understand like we won the ship last year, but the price we're paying is over the top. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
So Kevin, talk to him for an hour, write up whatever you want in the LA Times. That's what I think they should have done. I think that would have been better than like the Cooligans and the Tim.
They don't even talk about MLS.
The Tim Howard podcast.
They don't even. They're literally a USMNT
It's like
podcast.
this tour is like he's like a celebrity.
Here's what it reads to me, Arian. Maybe I'm wrong. You tell me different, but this looks like a brand saving operation. This looks like they went out to try and plug some holes about the brand of the LA Galaxy. They don't give a shit about the fans. Because if you really did care about the fans in this situation, you are not touching the national media. You're not only going on some fan podcasts and you're eating shit. You're good. Like if Will Kuntz wanted to ingratiate himself in the league, he brings his ring and he eats some shit. He wears that ring, gives it back to him a little bit, says, look, yeah, we may suck right now, but look what we got going. And then they give him some shit. He eats the shit. They play around, whatever. He's not even in his hood, bro. He flew to New York private to record this podcast. I mean, he was flying with the team. They were playing New York City FC or Red Bulls. I'm sorry. This was also before they got 7-0'd, which is even funnier. This was recorded right before they got 7-0'd.
I didn't even think about that.
Which is even funnier. Dude did this instead of being in the locker room, whatever. So I like, it's a PR tour for himself, his colleagues, and the team. It has nothing to do with the fans. It has nothing to do with anything. This is an ass-saving operation. And I don't think it's going to work.
That was the next thing I was going to ask is like, do you think it's going to work? Because that's the other thing. Like, I think you're right. Like, it reeks of like desperation.
Yes.
Like our final stand of like trying to save this whole regime. And the only thing that's going to do that is winning some games. You can do the press tour, but if you go to 16-3 over the next few weeks, it's not going to save you.
Well, here was their thought is they're going to do this press tour now. Everyone's going to chirp and say shit. And then they try and win this El Tráfico game and turn the vibes. I think they were trying to stack vibes, but the problem is
they got blown out 7.
Yeah. It's like, bro, it's like, it's crazy. You can't, bro, this is what I'm saying. There is no foresight in any of these decisions. They're not looking long term at what this means. They're not even looking at what's in front of them. They're just looking at the shiny object on the hill. Going on the Cooligans podcast makes it so clear to me why they signed Marco Royce. It never mattered about the spreadsheet.
The Marco Royce signing is like if Billy McFarland of Firefest was GMing in MLS.
Will Kuntz is Billy McFarland. LA Galaxy are the Fire Festival of Major League Soccer, but they have a ring.
That's the vibes. Yeah, I guess it would be like if Billy had all the criminal activity, but Firefest actually was.
He ran like one Coachella.
Yeah, like Firefest was actually kind of sick.
Yeah,
but then the next year it became Firefest.
Yeah, it is. Do you think he makes it out the whole year?
It depends. Like if they turn it around, I think he and Vanny could be like, look, that start was bad. It was bad. That was bad. That was bad.
Yeah.
We know that was bad. 0-10-3. That wasn't good. But we won El Trafico, and then we strung some results together. We salvaged it a little bit, and like the terrible start, man, that was just the price for the ring. That was the price we had to pay for the ring. Signed Marco Royce. Shouldn't have done that. Won't do that again. But like we're good. We're good. Just give us a chance. Just give us, Will Kuntz and I, give us a chance to like build back to. We've already shown we can do it. We've shown that we can build a championship team. We just did it. Like we're the guys to do. Like if they salvage some results going forward for the rest of the season, they can at least make that argument.
Sure.
If they stay, I think if they even stay under 1.0 points per game, I think they actually will be a regime that wins a championship and then still gets sacked the next year.
I'm hoping
that is on the table.
I'm hoping they lose this El Trafico and both get sacked. Like I genuinely feel like if anyone, Vanny, I feel like is on the hot seat. Vanny, I feel like if he loses this game, he might be gone. I think you're at least getting articles about him being on the hot seat.
I mean, you're already getting the articles. You're already getting the chatter. I think so. What, like if the Galaxy go out in El Trafico and get smashed on, 3 or 4-0 or something. I mean, they've shown the capacity to lose 7-0, but if they get whammed on 3 or 4-0 by LAFC, I actually think it's like pretty possible we might see Vanny go, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
He just won the chip.
He's not a bad coach. I don't think
so.
Maybe it was just Ricky. Maybe it was literally all just Ricky Pooch.
Well, so we were talking about this the other day, and I agree. I was saying like I feel like Vanny has shown like a track record of like he's
got
Toronto
more
FC.
than one ring, bro. Like
he's got more than one ring, and I feel like he's shown aptitude as like a build a project from the ground up type coach. He did that at Toronto. And remember how ass the Galaxy were when he got there?
Yeah.
And then they built this like
same
crazy.
with Toronto.
That's why even as recently as last year, we were like, Vanny is that guy. Like, for what he built the Galaxy into this year, like this last year, based on where they previously were. But I can't remember who, some pundit was pointing out the other day, like if you look at the years like outside of when he's won the ship, there have been some good ones like Toronto FC made the cup in 16 against Seattle that they lost and stuff like that. But there's been like just as much underachieving, if not more, than there actually has of him being like a winning force.
Sure.
So I was like, that's kind of a way of thinking of, because I kind of look at I kind of was looking at it as like the rings are all.
Well,
but
maybe,
if you look
maybe
at
that's why these two are a match made in heaven, because they're both just sellouts, like for the ring. You know what I mean? It's like if your game plan and your game model is we need a shot in the ass right now and fuck everything else going forward, right? Like everything else going forward doesn't matter. But right here and right now, we're doing it. This is your combo. And by that I'm saying fire these two. Montreal, I have your next two candidates. Montreal, get ready to learn Will Kuntz ball. I don't know. I really don't think this guy should have a job.
We'll see what happens. I'm like, their downfall is like a low-key kind of riveting storyline of this.
Dude, this
season.
is gonna be such a good okay.
I was just watching their game in Philly and I was just like, I haven't been this confident that I know what's gonna happen since I watched the
Inter
Chicago
Miami.
Fire. Yeah.
Yeah, Chicago Fire, Inter Miami goes down by 2 goals, comes back. That whole storyline. I mean, they're bad. They're objectively, and they're not even bad but fun to watch. They're just bad.
Historically so. All right, Noah, we're at 3 hours and 7 minutes. I think it's about time to
I think so.
Call it a night here. Thank you all for tuning in. We still have a few of you watching.
Late nighters.
We love the Under the Lights crew, the real sickos. Thank you all as always for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Like the video.
Yep.
Sub to the channel.
Become a YouTube member. We just dropped our vlog.
If you're not a member, you should become a member because we dropped an Open Cup vlog. It's a doc.
It's a documentary.
We made a
mini
documentary.
documentary.
We made a mini documentary. I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah. Ari's a filmmaker. You're a filmmaker. You're a filmmaker, kid. But become a YouTube member. You get to see it early. It will release to the general unwashed masses eventually. On Saturday, we have The Untold Lore of Ryan Kent coming out. That's going to be a fun interview that Ari did. And go watch the video we put out today. It was a clip from Under the Lights talking about the U22s. And we will see you in Portland. If you're there, give us a holler. And if not,
If you see us in Portland, don't be shy. Come say hi.
yeah, we should, you know, I don't know. We're going to be there. We'll be around. So
We'll be
say
there.
What's up.
We'll be around. Potentially streaming. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Who knows?
All right.
Good
Have a
night, everyone. Bye.
We out. Don't want to give money to the oligarchs, but love lobbing Scorchers? Do we have a deal for you? MLS Season Pass is back on Apple TV with access to every single MLS match, including Leagues Cup and the entire Audi MLS Cup playoffs with no blackouts. It's not just the games, you get total access to the pre- and post-match MLS 360 whip-around show in both English and Spanish, and get live look-ins and highlights from around the league, as well as full match replays and recaps. Now, you can support our show by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/Apple TV to purchase your subscription and support our show.
LobbingScorchers.com/Apple TV. Please don't let the oligarchs win.